hello everyone, and welcome to day number 2 of the EU ERCL, brought to you by Nimble Neuron. Big shout out to them for supporting their European esports scene, providing the $1,000 prize pool that we have for these players today. And this is the first ERCL event in Europe, so these players are not only playing for the money, but they're playing for the pride of, winning the first ERCL in ELU. I'm joined by a very good friend of mine. Crowan, how are you doing today, man?
Doing very, very well, Michael. Thank you very much. Excited to be here, excited to really be a part of the emergence of the European Eternal Return scene. And I think we saw a lot of great players yesterday. So I'm just excited to carry the momentum forward into today and see what these players got for us. It's lined up to be a banger of a finals.
A banger of a finals has been called. I love it. So speaking about the finals, that is going to be the one series that we are casting today. It's going to be 5 games. And I'm going to actually be getting into the scoreboard that way you guys can look at the way that the point system works. So we have a lot of really good teams here. They had to basically qualify through a quarters final where the top 4 of each team would advance, and then they had to qualify through a semis, and then that is how we've gotten to the top 18 players, the top 9 players in this event here. Crowan, who are some people that maybe were really standing out to you in the games that you were watching?
Oh, definitely. I mean, I think we saw a lot of great action yesterday, but a couple of teams that I'm going to especially have my eye on are going to firstly be Hammett and Kudeta running a Bernice and a Della combo. As soon as Ebola connects, as soon as any CC lands, it's just checkmate, one shot. That person is absolutely just gone. So they have really been so aggressive starting at the level 6 window when they get the ultimates online. But I also have to turn my attention, I think, to Best Velezi in Peleg. They run a and Lennox duo, and they get accelerated a lot early game, especially after winning those early Tree of Lives, getting kills with it, getting Glacial Shoes online, and just be able to run people down from there. So I think those two are very strong, and I mean, all the players are strong to get to the finals, right? This is the best of the best, but those teams especially are what I have my eyes on. But what about you, Michael? Any teams that jump out in your
Well, I mean, just so
mind?
you took Peleg and Bessalezzi out of my mouth, right? In the semifinals that we watched, every single game they got the first tree. Like every single game, they messed everyone up, they zoned everyone off, and then they were able to just channel that into like very strong CC chains later on, where they would just one shot someone. But someone else that kind of stood out to me was actually Popper Dinka and Misery Cutie. I mean, they're running Jackie Adriana, which when I initially looked at it, I was like, that doesn't seem like the best composition. They don't have a lot of CC, but what they really excel at, you can't run away from them and you can't kill them. So it's like they have a lot of chase down potential, and that's something that I just really am going to be excited to see how that kind of progresses and plays out, as well as special note to Dave and Zulius. Dave on that Nadine, every single game that I saw was top of the mastery at the end of the game. I mean, even if he died on that Nadine, was just always scaling. And if they're able to get into that mid to late game, set up with some traps, set up with a decent Nadine stacks, I think that is going to be a very scary team to look out for.
Definitely. And I mean, this is going to be a slightly different lobby than all the players that played in yesterday, right? And so you have to take into account the lobby dynamic. Sometimes your paths are going to be a bit too contested. You can't just freely scale up into the late game on these characters like Nadine that you would want. So maybe we'll see some players come with some, test subject swaps throughout the course of the event. We'll have to find out. But as we load into the draft screen, I'm excited to see what these players are going to land on to lead things into game number 1.
Yeah, and we're getting into that game number 1 of the EU ERCL finals. It all comes down to this. This is what the players, spent their time for. I've been practicing for, and we have got a Leon. Crowan.
Yeah. Yeah, what's up?
I mean, okay, we saw one Leon yesterday when we were casting. It got last place. It was a rough situation. But
Really?
I think the hero has a really interesting cool kit where they have a decent amount of AoE damage, very mobile. Really excited to see what they bring out here, just like what you were talking about. Maybe they have prepped some things for this final. They knew the groups, they knew who was going to be here. So that's something that I am really interested to kind of see how it is going to play out here, because that is a pretty strong adaptation.
Yeah, I think I saw Leon a bit more frequently, at least in the groups that I personally
Yeah.
had casted with Casanova yesterday. And Yujio and Hao have landed on this Leon and Hedgen duo, and they are very, very strong. They have these very unique kind of like trading patterns. If like a Hedgen can find and engage a root and a fear, Leon has a lot of good follow-up, and the CC, of course, with the ultimate to push someone into a wall, has a lot of just utility as well, or I guess a lot of mobility, because recently in the recent patch, Leon did get, I believe it was like a 9% movement speed buff when the trait is fully maxed. So be able to run people down is going to be something that that team is definitely looking for. They have a lot of mid-game aggression. So I'm excited to see them stick with their Leon Hedgen. Palm and Linkachu obviously is going to be a very, very solid duo as well. One of the only, I think probably the only Shukai player that we saw out of every single group yesterday. So Palm looking to get cooking here on Lumia Island.
Yeah, I mean, I love seeing that Zukai 3 Adels. So something where potentially we may see some of them forced to run a bit different routes, but we are getting into it. This is game number 1 again of the EU ERCL. Big shout out to Nimble Neuron for providing the prize pool and supporting their esports scene. I am, really hyped up here getting into the game 1, and just something that I always like to see is the adaptations that players make in between games, right?
Yeah,
What hero do
definitely.
you potentially swap to? And I actually think that's something that's very unique about herbs, is that you can so drastically change your style, and your opponent doesn't really have any control over it. There's not a draft system. It's like just whatever you and your teammates want to play, you can kind of whip out.
Yeah, definitely. If you think that, okay, this composition is too contested with what routes you're running, you can change the test subjects, you can change your routing, you can change a whole bunch, maybe even just group up earlier so you don't get a bit griefed, as, Trick 69 takes a bit of damage from Peleg in the early game, but it's not going to result in anything, of course. And something that you mentioned just a bit ago is there are 3 Adelas. Adela is looking like a pretty stable in the meta, at least in this duo's kind of competitive scene emerging out of Europe. Adela is fantastic with either like a hybrid amp and attack damage build, but mostly it's just amp. You have a lot of follow-up damage coming out of the CC of your duo, right? Look at all these Dela comps. They're paired with a Bernice, who can engage with a Bola, paired with a Sua, has a stun, paired with a Magnus as well, who has a stun. So a lot of good follow-up burst damage coming out of all of those duos. And just look at this, right? The teams are trading so many items early. They know these routes, they practice these comps, and they're ready to bring their best today.
Oh my gosh, Pomperdinka is level 6 already? There's a level 3 and a level 4 over here.
Yeah.
It looks like Pomper is having a very good game. I mean, definitely leading, must have gotten all of the RNG loot. But, I mean, Misery and Cutie, they're both pretty aggressively, in the archery range and school looting up, as it looks like there is going to be the first fight happening here as Peleg is trying to be, forced to kite out. Trees spawning in 40 seconds. So this is most likely going to be the first objective that players are actually going to risk their life for. I mean, this is game 1. You do not want to go down early here, as that, does hurt your chances a lot. But I mean, you also want to get this tree, this big power spike for your team to set up for a pop-off game.
Yep, Peleg and Best Velezi, they've been the ones to do it the whole entire event yesterday. They're going to be fighting pretty aggressively for this Tree of Life, but Palm and Linkachu are in the area. They did go down into the beach, looking to go on towards that Bernice and Nadine duo. But Palm and Linkachu, we think of Isol and Shukai as usually just kind of want to scale into the late game, but I believe Linkachu is running a pistol Isol, which still has some good early game aggression. Looks like they're probably not going to contest the Tree of Life, so that will freely go over to Peleg and Best Velezi. They won't get accelerated as much as they were yesterday. Teams not really willing to contest them. That's probably a pretty smart idea given how dominant they were yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, so that's going to be the first Tree of Life going over to them. That'll be the Glacial Shoes for the Lennox, which, I mean, really just adds a lot of chase down potential, makes it that much easier to get hooked. So, by no means have they won the game, but I mean, if you're Peleg and Best Velezi, I think you're pretty happy with the pacing of this game number 1 so far. The record of getting all of the first trees continues onward.
Yeah, definitely off to a very, very good start. One of the next kind of objectives in the game, of course, going to be the forestry, and I think we're going to see probably a couple of people try to contest that one. Yujio and Hawu, they like to get aggressive in the mid game, so they're running towards Chuchu and Aizko.
Nadine here, able to connect a little bit of the poke. Lee Lane able to actually connect the ult, and it looks like that is just going to be a dead Yujio. Oh, Hyjin here trying to escape, activates the ultimate. Nadine able to connect there. but I think they're just going to take their 1 kill. Don't want to get third-partied. I think that's a smart decision. And yeah, that's going to be our first character falling.
Yeah, that's kind of surprising to me. I mean, Yu-Gi-Oh and Hawu definitely looked to be one of the more aggressive teams yesterday, and they were looking for it posturing, but I mean, that's Elite Dailin, and you got to be careful when she is going to be able to just turn ult and one-shot you. You're not like super tanky at this point in the game. It's still relatively early, so Yu-Gi-Oh getting punished, Hawu forced to now be the rat on Lumia Island, the first one, but Papardinka is going to engage on Tashida and Nespi.
Yeah, really good job coming out by Papardinka there, being able to juke all of their spills, and Hashida here is going very, very low. They had the bush camp, they were set up in the right position, but they just were not able to connect the combo. Papardinka is too fast. They're able to, you know, juke it out and then also just be too tanky. And, you know, now we have 2 solos entering the fray.
Yeah, we do, and in this format, you're not allowed to team up with anyone else if your duo is dead, so you just gotta fully rat it on out of there. That's unfortunate, and Nespi and Hashida, that duo was no stranger to having to rat out yesterday. Usually it was Nespi the one being taken out first, and Hashida having to rat out, but they did get some good placements with that in mind, so now it is Nespi's turn to kind of carry that one. Best Falezi being scouted out by Danny Manny and Trick 69, but it won't really result in much of anything, at least yet. To turn our attention to some of the other duos, we have the Palm and Linkachu, the Pistol Isol, and the Shukai getting cooking, scaling very, very well into the late game, but I do still expect to see some aggression out of them soon. We still have about 4 minutes until the Wicked line spawns, so a lot of time for teams to get their builds fully online, and we do see most players are at that point already.
Yeah, I mean, most players pretty much finish up here, now looking to add, you know, food, traps to their build. Again, this is game number 1. A lot of these players, you know, going into this game, or at least, you know, as a former competitor, I feel like the last thing you want is to be down last in first place, right? If you come out middle of the pack, like, of course, having a good pop-off game is big, but if you come out middle of the pack, you set yourself up in the next couple of games that you can continue to play that standard style. You don't have to pay too desperate. So that's why we see a lot of these teams, you know, being a bit patient, not looking to necessarily force the engage. But that's what's so exciting about Herbs tournaments is as we get to those game 2s, game 3s, you're going to see people get more aggressive. But speaking of aggression, Papardinka here on the Jackie going in. Kudeta, though, able to get a decent amount of return damage. Misery Cutie trying to kite out here, but really just creating a lot of space for Papardinka to chunk down the Bernice. But they're going to be able to not get away as Misery Cutie snipes with the ultimate there, able to take down the Bernice, and Papardinka wants one more, but the stun from Kudeta, I think, is going to be enough, and the Adele is going to be able to escape.
The stun and the castling over the wall. This Hammett and Kudeta duo that was so dominant yesterday is just ran at by a Jackie, and she was too tanky, right? Even if you turn with a bullet and a full combo, it's not like that Jackie is going to fall, so Adela tried to make it happen onto Misery Cutie on Adriana, but still were not able to burst. And Papardinka, I think, on this dagger Jackie, this is a duo that you were talking about being like, you know, I'm not so sure how it's going to run, but we understand right now, especially after seeing that, how they're able to do so well and how they got to the finals, right? This is a duo that can just jump on someone, stick on them, and if they want to run away, they can do that very, very nicely. They have a bunch of slows from the Adriana. Jackie, of course, is one of the most, you know, famous rat characters on all of Lumia Island, so she can get out basically whenever she wants to, but still be able to turn on the aggression. I'm really, really impressed by what we see from that duo so far.
Yeah, and they may potentially get into another fight here as Dave and Zulius, another Nadine and Bernice, are going to be walking into their area of hospital. Dave checking into his stacks is currently at 59, so not the best scaling game so far. I mean, a lot of the teams have been patiently farming, so maybe they got, you know, the zone rotation they behind. Maybe they were behind someone there. I don't know if they necessarily want to take this fight, just looking to get some mastery, looking to get some poke, but they have to be careful of that all-in potential from Papardinka as well as Misery Cutie.
Yeah, if some slows land from Adriana and Papardinka gets to jump on top of either one of these players, that will probably be them going down. Nadine, of course, wants to just scale into the late game, doesn't really want to take too many early to mid-game fights unless they're, you know, looking really good, or you get a third-party scenario or something of the like. So instead, a bit of a lull in the action, at least for now, about a minute and a half until Wickeline spawns. And I don't know if it's the same thing in your groups yesterday, Michael, but Wickeline was not really widely contested. A lot of times it was able to just walk a few zones before some team runs into it and it's like, oh, okay, I guess I'll take it for free. Or sometimes the team will set up in the avenue and just take it uncontested. But see if players will turn their attention to them today.
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of hit or miss. There were a couple of games where I felt like no one really contested it, and then there were a couple of games where we had like 3 or 4 teams all grouped up and around it. We actually had a solo that stole Wick. There were like 3 duos fighting, and then an Emma just like walked in and like one-shot the Wick and got out. It was pretty funny. But yeah, I mean, a bit more just like farming up here for the teams. We have a lot of scaling heroes. We have 2 Nadines, a Zukai, so all 3 of those duos are just going to be looking to continue scaling. We already have 8 double guillotines for this ISOL. So, I mean, if this composition is able to make it into the late game, they are going to be one of the scariest teams, just the nature of their heroes, the nature of their kits paired up with traps. And that's something that I think a lot of these high-level players in this lobby most likely know about. They probably know that the ISOL's been farming traps, actually able to get a force core off that bear. So more traps most likely added to the mix.
Yeah, looking to make those into some nice traps for later on into the game. But Linkachu and Palm, they generally do farm up in this mid game for traps, and they look to play the late game pretty slowly. Speaking of slowly, SB wants to not be slow as they get on out of here. They want to be super fast, but Best Valezi, I believe Best Valezi actually did craft not the Glacial Shoes. In fact, they went for the Scotty instead. So going to be a bit slower than we might have expected. Still, Wickeline spawning, Best Valezi and Peleg setting up for it, and no one else is really around in the area to contest. There's only going to be Kudeta, who is a solo in the Avenue. Hammett, unfortunately, already was taken out in the early game, but still, 15 players remaining in this whole lobby is a lot for 10 minutes and a half into the game. Players are, like you said earlier, playing it a bit slow. You don't want to come out with a 9th placing in number 1. It really, it's gonna be a very, very pressuring moving forward, and you're not going to want to be in that position. But Misery Cutie and Pomperdinka feeling very, very good about their position. Already 2 kills, looking to make it more, forcing Dave and Zulius to run through the red, but they just continue the chase.
We miss a kill there, actually, over as it looks like Lily, HU, and Palm were able to take down the solo of Kudeta, able to hop on to the Adele there. Didn't actually even have to extend the Zukai ult, so maybe they just caught her out in a bush. I mean, a rough situation there as a solo.
Yeah. Definitely a rough situation, unfortunately. Hammett and Kudeta are the first duo to fall in game number 1. I mean, down but not out, right? You still got 4 more games. They still could come back, have some pop-off games. And I definitely would expect to see that out of them in the following. But for now, still lull in the action. Zones are continuing to close. Next to be restricted are going to be Uptown and Hospital. Waiting for the next engage to happen, Michael, and waiting to see actually if Best Valezi can get that legendary whip online. Has the VF blood for it, so we're probably going to see it here soon. But for now, we're seeing engage from Popperdinka and Misery Cutie.
Yeah, and then Nadine is going to get jumped on here by Popperdinka, activating that chainsaw and just all inning onto Iziko, trying to kite out here, eating a bit of red, but really just trying to survive with their life, and they're not going to be able to do it, as that is going to be the nading falling, but a very scary Peleg, and Best Valezi may potentially be able to cut off. Oh, Choo Choo with the jukes. Are they actually going to go for the res?
Oh, they might be able to get it, but Peleg and Best Valezi, are they going to be there as soon as they have to walk out of the red zone? They can't take too much timer.
Oh,
they're going to be spotted, but they run up, and there's a third party here, so they don't want to take this engage.
Not even close. Out by the hair of their... Wow, I really thought the lead island was just going to abandon them there, play the solo, but able to actually save the Nadine. They are really low on red. That is something that potentially could become a factor later on, as Danny Manny and Trick69 are on the trail, on the hunt. They want to take down this duo. They want to get these kills and secure it. Trick69, though, actually taking a decent amount of damage from that trap, not able to connect upon. A good juke there from the Nadine, but kind of being corralled into a corner a little bit. They're trying to hit the Adele here. You see Magnus, Danny Manny coming in, looking for the wall stun, gonna be able to get it onto the lead island. I don't think that's the most ideal target, but Pomperdinka and Misery Cutie are coming in for the third party, potentially the real winner here, as you see Choo Choo and Iziko just dip on out, and now it's Trick69 and Danny Manny who have to retreat, and it looks like they're gonna be able to escape as well, but the master escape artists themselves, Choo Choo and Iziko, somehow survive throughout all of that.
Honestly, got kind of built out of it by the third-party scenario, forcing the team of Trick and Danny Manny to run into the red. Pomperdinka did not want to run into the red as they had already done so a bit earlier, but these zones are going to be closing in about a minute. Trick 69, Danny Manny have to start to think about running into forest area and getting out of that area completely. But Nadine and Lee Dai-Lin, Choo Choo and Isaaco are still pretty far up in the alley. Looks like they'll be okay for a rotation, however, as Pomperdinka and Misery Cutie are just on the trail of Danny Manny and Trick 69 this whole time, but might get pinched here.
Oh no, between a rock and a hard place here is Peleg and Bestalezi with their whip book. The hook actually onto the Magnus, and that's going to be Danny Manny falling very low. Who was able to get the kill there? I was not able to see in the heat of the action. It looks like Peleg and Bestalezi, the stun, barely not going to be able to connect. Trick 69 waiting in the wing. You see the Magnus automatically starting to run towards their team. Peleg does not want to let this Magnus get picked up, and they're just going to secure the kill, and Trick 69 is now going to be forced to be a solo, but Pomperdinka and Misery Cutie were able to steal that kill.
Yeah, it looks like Choo Choo went down on the other side of the map. Oh yeah, down in the dock, Linkachu and Palm. Now Isaaco left remaining, but is still very, very much stuck down here. Linkachu and Palm can just run at Isaaco, and there's no way this Nadine can get out. Or is there? No, the root connects. Palm is going to be there. That's going to be a dead Nadine. Burnt to a crisp as well.
Yeah, I mean,
they kills for them?
so long. Oh wait, Misery Cutie actually TPing in here.
Wow. Aggressive TP, not getting punished for it, fortunately.
Yeah, lucky that they just used all their spells on that Nadine. Otherwise, that could have been a very scary situation for the Adriana here. I think they were hoping that there was no teams there that could rotate in, you know, get those bears, get a bit more of farm before we get down to some of these smaller circles, as we are going to be heading down to just 3 zones. We see a lot of teams already posturing around Chapel, looking to, you know, keep the vision, keep the control, as, you know, Dave and Zulius, during all of that action, was able to secure themselves a kill and are up to now 207 wild stacks. When we last checked in, they were around 60, so really have been able to scale up, have been able to increase their power level, as there actually is going to be a fight breaking out here, as Misery Cutie is going to get stunned and hooked. Trying to kite out, though, not going to be able to do it, as Pomperdinka is now just going to be on the full retreat. The Jackie Ratter that we know and love does have the EOD boots, actually able to maybe try and kite around. The cam does come down. A good juke for Pomperdinka. I don't know if it's going to be enough, though, as the stun connects and the ult from Bestalezi. But Jackie is just so hard to kill.
Jackie is hard to kill. The bleed from the Blue Viper, but it's not going to be enough. Pomperdinka survives another day, or do they? Palm was actually going on a bit of the... Oh, yeah, Peleg going a bit of the aggression there. Actually does take out Pomperdinka. While that duo has 4 kills, that's a solid start. They did get taken out, I believe, in 5th or 6th place, actually, because there still are a couple of rats remaining. Not the best start for how accelerated they got in the early game, unfortunately. Peleg and Bestalezi, they are such a consistent duo. They don't have a lot of super flashy moments in the early game. Maybe they fight over forest trees, but what they are is going to be consistent. They take fights probably a bit better than the majority of other teams that we see in this event. As we approach this very, very late game, Chapel is going to be the final zone, and it'll be closing into just that in about a couple of minutes. There still is Trick 69 and Hawu as the rats, and then 3 full duos remaining. Palm and Linkachu, though, they've been biding their time. They've been crafting so many traps, and if they get control over this Chapel zone, which they already have right now, get their surveillance set up, it'll be so hard for anyone to drive them out of that position.
Oh my gosh, we have got 10 fire traps, 8 double guillotines. This ISIL has got it all, and they've also got, you know, a decent amount of spicy fish stew. So food has been cooked up, has been made up. Definitely think this ISIL and this Zukai are going to be very scary in this final zone. But I mean, checking in at the solos, they're both just trying to not get found, trying to not lose placements. Trick 69 doing a good job, you know, waiting over here. Knows Peleg and Bestalezi are around and definitely does not want to be in their crosshairs, as that duo has, you know, time and time again show how powerful they can be in these skirmishes and in these engages.
Yeah, definitely so. And just, you know, quickly looking at the mastery before we go in. I mean, Nadine's up to 18, by far in front of the rest of the lobby. The second highest is going to be 14. So this is the point where Nadine has scaled. She can pump out a lot of damage, and from pretty safe, right? Just straddles those Qs. Unfortunately, that one doesn't connect. But still, Julius and Dave kiting back, getting some poke damage. Gonna try to force the other duos to run out of food, if anything. But of course, Palm playing the Shukai, gonna have a lot of it. I believe it was on about like 134 stacks as well. So gonna be very, very tanky in this final zone. And a Shukai team, as soon as they press R, someone is going to die. That is pretty much just how it goes. Habu has to find out how to enter this zone, and so does Adela. Adela doing it from the forest side, but Peleg and Best Blezzy are here and ready to punish this rotation.
Trick69 able to actually get a good ultimate there, but this is just the rough life that is being a solo. Trick69 trying to kite, going to fall to Dave here, as it looks like the other solo, Hawu is going to walk in here on the Hyjin. Does have the glacial shoes, which does make them a bit faster, a decent amount of mobility, actually able to get a little bit of spacing here. And part of that comes from Julius and Dave actually pressuring Best Velezi and Peleg, but now I think they may find the Hyjin here.
Yeah, Hyjin being forced to run into the chapel, but Dave is there, ready to force them out. Oh, you don't want to run down because Linkachu and Palm are there. There's really nowhere to run for Hawu right now, stuck in between three duos. Really, really hate to see it. It's only a matter of time before someone engages and a fight will break out. But Hawu for now, forced to be run into the red. Maybe try to run around to the top side.
Ooh.
Oh, they do.
Ooh.
All right.
A good juke. Actually, if they're able to continue running around, they may be able to get into a better position here, as Peleg and Best Velezi are just going to look to potentially chase them down here. Able to connect the stun. Can the Lennox connect the hook is the question. Yes, they can. Best Velezi so clean with it, and that is going to be our last solo following, and we have 35 seconds remaining. 3 duos left. Crone, I don't mean to put you on the spot, but who's getting that dub?
I'd have to give the advantage, I think, over to Palm and Linkachu, but I mean, anything can happen. But look at the zone, right? Double guillotines, fire traps everywhere. It's going to be so hard to push this team out of the zone or even just get into it entirely. Dave and Julius are going to be closer positioned. Peleg and Best Velezi have to go in from the top side. All duos have kills going into this, Michael, but this is about to turn up in just a few seconds. Hope you're ready for this action.
Yeah, so many traps set up, as it looks like the final 6 characters looking to come to this final zone. Red time is being eaten while everyone is trying to clear out these traps. Peleg and Best Velezi have now made it on the zone. Dave and Julius are still eating red, down to about 15 seconds. A good job from Palm and Linkachu to continue zoning this point. 10 seconds on the red here. Julius and Dave are going to be forced in. This is not the position they want to be. That nading wants to stay away from you, wants to stay far. And they're both down to about 5 seconds as Dave and Julius are going to get all in. The Zukai ult comes out. The Lennox hook as well. Best Velezi able to secure Dave. Palm and Linkachu are going to be going in here. Best Velezi, who's going to be able to win this team fight? The traps look like they might just be too much, as Crow, and your prediction was correct. Lily, Linkachu, and Palm secure that dub. They get 5 kills. The traps were just too much to deal with.
It did get a little close at the end, right? Peleg and Best Velezi did a great job at clearing out the top side of the fire traps, especially making sure they can place down their own remote mines. I think they actually snagged a kill off of the Dave and Julius duo with those, because you have 5 kills apiece for the team of Palm and Linkachu, and then Best Velezi and Peleg. But you cannot allow an ISOL Shukai to get that position in the chapel. If they can set up all the traps, position inside the building, you just can't push in through that small choke, that doorway, because you just get burnt to a crisp. And it happened anyway. As soon as Shukai presses R, things will die. Called it. It happened. Very, very well played to Palm and Linkachu to get the first dub here in game number 1.
Yeah, really, really well played by them. I mean, they really were scaling. I remember I saw them in Beach. They had 8 guillotines, and we were like, man, if this team is able to scale, they're going to be terrifying. But I really feel like that was maybe the name of the game for group number 1 was scaling. You had 3 teams, 2 Nadines, 1 that was an ISOL, Zukai. So I wonder if we'll maybe see someone switch it up and look to run a bit more of an aggressive comp that can try and, snowball some of those kills. Like, the first tree was only contested by Best Velezi and Peleg. They also were the only team contesting Wick. So, maybe everyone's just scared to fight them head to head and doesn't want to fight objectives with them. But, I do wonder if, since there are so many kind of scaling and farming strats, if it could be good to try and find your own unique niche within the lobby.
Yeah, definitely. And looking at the duos here, I think there's three very aggressive duos that jump out to mind. I think the first one we didn't really get to see go anywhere, unfortunately, is going to be the Kudeta and Hammett because they were just ran at by Pomperdinka and Misery QT. That is the one disadvantage out of the Bernice Adele, unfortunately, is that if a very, very tanky test subject runs at you, you use all your bursts, and you don't take them down, your window is kind of over. Your burst needs to find a kill, otherwise you're going to lose the fight. And Pompernik and Misery Cutie very expertly identified that. And even though they didn't get too far, right? Misery Cutie and Pomperdinka only got 6. They did get 4 kills, so that is still a lot of points in that regard to set themselves up for a good start to this. And I believe it is the top 3. They're going to get paid out here today, Michael. So definitely players are going to be, of course, vying for that first. But to get a second or third is still not too bad.
Yeah, definitely will still get you in the money. And speaking of scores, we actually have them. So we're going to be hopping over to check into the scoreboard. And in first place, I mean, to no surprise, we've got Palm and Linkachu with 33 points after that first place placement and 5 kills. They are going to be in first. But closely behind them, we've got Peleg and Best Valezi in second at 29 points. And then under that, we've got in third place a 2-way tie actually between Misery Cutie and Pomperdinka and Zulius and Dave, both of them at 17 points. Those are kind of our top 4 right now. You know, there are a couple other teams that are still in contention. That was just game number 1, so really it still could go either way. Either team or any team here still could pull it out. We've got 5 or 4 more games to go. But yeah, I mean, looking at the initial point scoring, you know, Crowan, do you feel like maybe some teams need to make adaptations, or is it still a bit too early for that?
Yeah, I think I would say it might be a bit too early to say, hey, we definitively need to make changes because you can just have one bad game, and if you overreact to it and try to go something that you haven't really practiced, it could be even worse, honestly. I mean, yeah, and it's hard to get worse than 9th place with no kills, like Kudeta and Hammett, so, but no, they're probably going to stick on with what they have continued practicing with this Berdice and Adela duo, so I don't really expect too much changes. I think it's really after games number 2 and 3 that if it's still not going well, teams are like, all right, this is consistently not worked out, we need to change it up to have a couple pop-off games and get into the money at that point. But yeah, not really for now. What I am very interested in is to see the I guess the dynamic between, say, a team like Misery Cutie and Pomperdinka and then Zulius and Dave. They're tied in points, and Zulius and Dave, they got to third, they got a couple of kills, but just with the aggression that Misery and Cutie and Pomperdinka brought out, they're still going to be tied with them, right? They didn't get very far. They got 6th out of only the 9 teams, but still, that early game aggression is one of the only ones that we've seen, and only teams to get that aggressive, but it certainly did work out for them, and it's putting themselves in a good position to continue that aggression, to move them forward into the scores in these lobbies.
Yeah, well, and that's the interesting thing is Misery Cutie and Pompernika had such a powerful early, and I would even say their mid game was pretty strong. But the thing is, teams weren't really out until very late because, you know, we had a lot of really good solos. We had Trick 69 as well as Hawu that were both able to make it later on than them. And if, you know, either of them are dead, they're walking out of that game, you know, probably with a much higher score. But yeah, I'm interested to see what happens. They had a pretty dominant performance. I feel like if you're them, it's like, we kind of do the same thing that we did, but maybe just be a bit more conscious about who we're looking to fight. Because, you know, they opted to fight the most powerful team in the lobby. And it's like if they fight anyone but that team, they're going to be in a good position. So, but yeah, I mean, a solid game number 1, at least for me. As a viewer, I don't know. Game number 1 is always slow, but like I thought that was some real clean play.
Yeah, there's still a lot of solid action. Like there was a couple of fights early which left some players without a duo, but it did definitely heat up towards the end of that game. And I'm expected to see a bit of the players getting comfortable with you know, they know the routes other players are running, or at least some of them, because actually 3 teams have changed it up here, Michael. Zulius has swapped over onto the Alex from running a Bernice, and actually Dave swaps over from the Nadine to the Bernice. Danny Manny from that team swaps over to a Yuki from the Magnus, and then Choo Choo and Isaaco, they fully swap up their comp from Lee Dylan and Nadine to now running double AR, Aya, and Isol. So a huge adaptation, especially out of that team.
Yeah, a lot of adaptations coming out though. I mean, I do like it is maybe after game number 1, so maybe it is a bit preemptive, but just
Yeah.
looking at the lobby, it felt like there were a lot of comps that were trying to run the same way, right? Where it's like we go farm, we go rotate around, and I think maybe that's what people kind of recognize is Palm and Linkachu are going to have the most powerful scaling comp. Just, the nature of Zukai and ISIL, if you get traps and you get kind of set up on that last point, maybe some of these Nadine comps just opting to, play a bit faster. And I'm excited to see how it works out. Maybe we'll see people swap back to it. But, I always love seeing players at least try to make a change, try and, put themselves in a new position to win. But, yeah.
With how well some of these teams, especially the Palm and Linkachu, as you just mentioned, scale into late game, I'm surprised that we really don't see too many more Shukais, right? This Palm is the only Shukai player, I believe, out of the whole tournament, but Shukai is seemingly very dominant, and he can't really get bullied that much in the early game. You can still get kills as soon as you hit 6, as well as have pressure scale into late game and support your ISOL. Maybe teams just aren't really practiced on Shukai, unfortunately, so not willing to run that out, especially if you're going to contest a team that is already practiced and better on that kind of level of play. Unfortunate if that is the case, but Michael, we're going to have our first objective in a minute, the Tree of Life in the hotel, so surely we're going to see Peleg and Best Velezi rotate there in a few moments.
Definitely, but I actually think... Okay, I think they're going to be able to escape here. Was a bit worried there. He was able to, slide and get that stun. I think it would have been scary. But like you mentioned, that first objective, and look who we've got set up and ready to go. Best Velezi and Peleg, as per usual, ready to brawl with anyone around this first tree. But I mean, just from the positioning of people on the map, I don't know if we'll actually have anyone contest, as it is going to be spawning in 25 seconds. And we know Linkachu and Palm most likely don't want to fight it. So it'd probably be Zulius and Dave, potentially.
Essentially rotate down, yeah, okay. Palm and Linkachu are going to rotate down into the beach once again. They say, we don't really want to get griefed early. We know that as long as we scale into the late game that we're going to have a good placement. If not, just win the whole game outright. But still, I'm curious to see if Best Velezi opts to go the Scotty over the Glacial Shoes again, because I think Glacial Shoes offer a very good early game power spike when it comes to chasing down kills, especially in the scenario where you catch one but you just can't catch the other duo, right? And that's 3 points that you're kind of letting slip away if you had the Glacial Shoes at some point. Sure, you don't want to over chase in some scenarios, but when the Glacials kick in, you do go very, very fast. Zoom zoom.
Yeah, I mean, Glacial Shoes, I would say, are generally kind of that go-to on this character. I mean, they have the option to build both, I think. So, actually, I don't think they have the option to build the bracelet right now, but actually Dave and Peleg are going to be getting into it here. They haven't fanned up the legendaries, but Dave, maybe with a bit of an overextension here, is going to follow Zulius, trying to drop the ultimate and be able to get the return kill, as Peleg here is falling very low. Is Zulius going to be able to do this? Are they going to maybe look to go for the res, or are they just going to chase them down and go for the kill? Oh, Peleg and Best Velezi are going to come in. I don't think you can go for the res here. Peleg has got so many stuns. I think you maybe had to go for the all-in if you wanted to fight it.
Either go for the all-in or just run away and cut your losses. Of course, against Lanox and Asua, you're not going to be able to get that. I believe the Best Velezi's craft did just come through right there. And engage from Peleg. Zulius is going to be able to escape. Really is unwilling to give up Dave, but Dave, unfortunately, is going to be the first casualty of game number 2. Best Velezi gets 1, and I am very, very scared for every single other duo, because not only did Best Velezi and Peleg get the Tree of Life, get the Glacial Shoes online, but they also get kills, which gives them loot and accelerates them much more, like we've seen in yesterday's competition. Zulius still in the area. Really needs, I guess, some loot here.
Yeah, maybe
that's why they're there in the first place.
Yeah, I was wondering if maybe he's trying to loop back around to get Dave's body, but actually going to be walking into beach and might just be gifting a kill here to Palm.
Oh.
So patient.
There we go. Waiting time for Linkachu to rotate over, but not even need Linkachu. Burnt to a crisp as Zulius, and the full duo goes out very, very early in game 2.
I mean, that's rough. They swapped off their composition. I wonder if we'll see them run back their Nadine, Bernice that they normally run. That game number 2 performance. That fight was really close, though, right? I think if Zulius all's in, potentially they're able to turn it there. But, I mean, Best Velezi and Peleg have, again, just shown how powerful this duo is. So many stuns, so much crowd control, and they're both really tanky, right? Like, I think it's just a very hard composition to play up against.
Yeah, there's so much CC, there's so many stats, right? Because if we look at their build, it's going to be what, like EOD suits on both of them. You have HP coming through from there, and just attack damage reduction. Gonna have things like motorcycle helmet for best velocity, just providing some HP. Same thing with attack ops helmet. You know, it's a little bit of HP, 120 on that item. So this team has so much CC, a lot of survivability just because of their flat HP, and the damage is still going to be there, right? But I mean, in that engage, it was kind of awkward what happened in the hotel. Maybe we'll go over that later because Yujo and Hawo running into Papardinka and Misery Cutie.
Oh, so it looks like Papardinka is going to get feared here. The two-person wave stun, though, but I don't think it's going to be enough as the Hydra's going to be falling very low. Can they get the return kill on Misery Cutie? I don't know if they're going to be able to do it here. It doesn't have the fully up completed build. I think the Hydrogen is a lot of the damage here, as it looks like they're going to just try and fully retreat here. And I think this may be a very sad, and that's going to be our second duo falling here. I'm curious to see if we'll have see them maybe swap off a different composition. I hate to say that initially, that's like too critical, but just like I feel like the last two games it's maybe been a bit hard. But also I think they ran into Misery Cutie and Papardinka both times, so maybe it's like just don't fight that team specifically. But been a rough game for that duo so far.
100%. It's saying like the team that you don't want to run into early is Papardinka and Misery Cutie. They get their early game, kind of mid-game power spike, I'll say around this point, and they're just going to be able to run you down with the Jackie. It scales not as well into the late game, but perhaps another engage here in the hospital.
As it looks like Trick69 and Danny Manny going to be going at it against Nesby and Hashida. Both teams just trading abilities here. Question is maybe, the Yuki ult coming out here, gonna be able to connect onto both. Adele as well, Trick69 actually using their second, which means Nezzy's gonna be able to juke the damage. But on the top of the map, guys, we've got Papardinka and Misery Cutie coming in to clean up some kills potentially. As you see, Hashida and Nesby are instantly both gonna start running out. Danny Manny really wants to try and get this kill. Papardinka as well is going to be looking to commit, actually just going onto this Yuki of Danny Manny, and they're gonna be able to get that second kill. The squad of Danny Manny and Trick69 is going to go down.
Yeah, we're seeing all of the duos being fully cleaned up. No rats remaining. Third duo falls, 12 players left, and the cemetery tree is going to be up very, very soon. Kudeta and Hammett are there. And I'm curious to see what this duo can actually bring out. They've been rather quiet, I think, which is atypical of what we saw yesterday out of them. Sure, if you run into very tanky test subjects, kind of like that... Gonna like that Papardinka and Misery Cutie duo, or the Peleg and Best Velezi. You might not be able to burst them, but you still can on pretty much every other squad. Another engage here in the archery.
Best Velezi able to connect another hook. A good setup by Peleg though. Actually falling very low. The Lennox ult able to connect. The Aya able to get the ult. Really good kiting. Okay, the Aya is going to go down there, but I think it's enough, as the ISOL is going to try and finish off Best Velezi here. Able to dash forward. Best Velezi, though, might just be tanky enough that they can get out here. Iziko gonna go look to res. Best Velezi may just have to get out, right?
Best Velezi can't get to Peleg in time. They're going to get the pickup onto Iziko, and then they're going to sprint over to where they went. But did they know? Did they know Peleg went down? They're going there. They're going to be able to get the interrupt. Yeah, Best Velezi forced to run, forced to abandon their duo. Still, I mean, 2 kills that duo for Best Velezi, as long as the Lennox can rat it out, maybe get a top 3 placement, still going to be solid. But that is not what we expected to come out of that engagement, I think. But Choo Choo had an amazing kind of mechanical play there, actually. I mean, it's very, very small. Of course, when you get hit by the Lennox ulti and you run, you take damage. So Choo Choo stood still until the Lennox went over there to try to have some displacement abilities. But then is when you run, and then is when all the damage came through. Sure, you traded out the kill, but Iziko was just allowed to hit Lennox the whole entire time, and that's what really let the fight go in their direction.
Yeah, I mean, the double BR is so powerful, right? If you're able to get, or the double AR is so powerful if you are able to get it online. It's just so much sustained damage. The pushback as well into that specific composition, I think, is a hard one. So I do really like this adaptation that we have coming out for Choo Choo and Iziko. I'm interested to see how it progresses into this later game against potentially, you know, something like our current standings leader, the victor of last game. We've got Palm and Linkachu again, we're popping in. We've got 4 double guillotines, turning that into 6. They've got a force core. They got some food and mithril. So, you know, so far 77 stacks. Things are looking pretty good for the round 1 winner and the current points leader.
Definitely, I'm feeling a little bit of deja vu. They're back in the beach again. They got 8 guillotines online. They have the oilcloth ready to start making some fire traps. That's gonna come into play relatively soon. But so is the Wicked line, right? It's already spawned in the avenue. It is a restricted zone, so she's gonna be walking up into the temple. And guess who are here? It's going to be Kudeta and Hammett. They're chasing out Best Valezi. Probably won't result in anything. But they do know, of course, they can see that Wicked Line has been seen in the temple, so they're going to be running on over, try to take her out, get the loot, get the buff, and look to actually finally get their powerhouse of a burst synergy duo online. Pumperdinka.
I was curious if they were gonna. I went over there because I was curious if they were gonna TP to temple and fight the Wick.
Yeah,
they
might be some fighting in archery soon. Perhaps.
Beth Valezi. Is going to run into Pumperdinka potentially.
Oh, okay.
Valezi is just so fast with those glacials, right? So actually a pretty solid rat hero, but actually Ashida and Nesby are going to be fighting Palm and Linkachu. I mean, I think that's smart. Letting this duo get into the final circle is definitely something that I think is a mistake for everyone in the lobby. If you see these characters, you don't necessarily want to all in, but if you're able to get an opportunity to fight them and take them now, or even just force them to use some of their traps, use some of the stuff that they have been building up, just don't let them get to the late game with all 8 of these traps and a bunch of the fire traps that they're going to have set up as well, and they're actually building right now.
Yep, here we go. Fire traps are coming online. And Palm actually did use the ultimate, did use Burn to a Crisp in that engagement, which didn't result in kills, which is kind of unique to happen for that duo. Usually it does result in some things, but I think there were some smart bombs actually coming out from Hashida and Nesby, so it kind of dissuaded the continuation of that chase. But it's just going to be them continuing to farm out some wild animals. Let Shukai stack up at about 83 stacks right now, has 4 meat in the inventory, so probably just gonna make some steak here soon with those heated rocks.
Yeah, they may run into Pumperdinka and Misery Cutie here. The question is, okay, Pumperdinka and Misery Cutie, I think, saw them on the cams and instantly disengaged. Don't really want to take that fight. They do have the mithril armor here for Pumperdinka as well as some fish and chips, so really good food for this duo. Having the Maca bread, gonna actually opt to pick up this legendary chest. 3 teams are gonna be in school. I actually want to hop into the masteries real quick. So it looks like, you know, Pumperdinka is gonna be leading it at 13. Kudeta actually as well, having a very stacked inventory. But we may potentially see a fight here as Choo-Choo and Izuko may face check into this very scary duo.
Not looking likely. I think being a relatively squishy double AR composition, you're going to be pretty much checking every single bush, and yeah, it's going to be the check there. But is it going to be enough? Actually, the root's going to connect. Burn to Crisp already comes out. The root.
Oh, the Aya ult comes out, but it's not going to be enough as Choo-Choo is going to fall on that AR Aya. So it looks like they are going to be chasing down the ISIL there. And that is going to be a solo joining the fray, as it's just going to be Izuko left alone. As the Aya is going to fall. I mean, and that's part of the downside of this composition, is that it is pretty fragile. You don't have the best peel, and now we got a solo.
Not the best peel, not the best trap setup as well. There is just 1 fire trap in Izuko's inventory. Looking to make some more, however, but I'm actually really worried for the rest of the lobby now that Palm and Linkachu have taken out one of the AR characters in the duo, because in a late game scenario, double AR is so oppressive, right? If they're allowed to free hit and other people are kind of making things awkward and kind of going to be able to dissuade other people from full engaging, then it'll go really well for them. However, in the school, Palm gets engaged on force to actually run. Burn to Crisp is not available yet, so they have to buy time for the ultimate to come back alive.
Yeah, Pumperdinka going for the all-in though, taking a decent amount of damage for the trap, but recognizing that they are tanky enough, and Best Valezi is actually in the bush, and it's disastrous for our current points leader, as Palm now is just forced to full retreat. Linkachu is down on the ISIL. Best Valezi, I think, was able to actually get the kill there. So really well played from Best Valezi, just waiting in this bush. May potentially be pushed out though and forced to eat some red, as Pumperdinka and Misery Cutie are going to be here. Yeah, so Best Valezi is just going to run, but able to, you know, yoink some kill, yoink some points for their team. Very, very good job.
Wow.
And not just that, they take down the current lobby leader and basically turn them into a solo.
Yeah, Palm and Linkachu, not the duo that you would expect to lose one at this point in the game, but Best Velezi, I mean, no one could have expected to see them in the bush at that point. It's just unlucky at that point, but definitely very, very well played from Best Velezi. Came out at the exact right moment, stole the kill with the ultimate, forces Palm to just cook for himself and nobody else. Feels bad, man.
Feels bad, man. That's true Sag, you know, just like,
yeah.
I'm picturing a Zukai with the Sag emoji on his face, just in a bush cooking alone. No food
to
share
cook
with.
For my friend, just only food for himself. Feels bad, but yeah, alone. Moving into... Don't want to eat alone if you're a Zukai in a duos format. Going to be 3 full duos remaining as we approach our late game. 3 solos with Best Velezi, Palm, and Izuko. All of them do have kills. In fact, the only duo to not have kills of the ones remaining are Hashida and Nespi. At least they're full, you know, together. I think multiple times tournament they haven't been. But speaking of Izuko, oh, the Bola lands, Kudeta burst. That's what we've seen the whole tournament. It is on a solo, but still we get to know the power of that. Now they get a kill on the board.
Oh my gosh, look at this build too. Radar, red shoes, shiny opera mask, mithril helm. Polaris looking very strong for both of them. I mean, they've spent a lot of this game farming so far. And I mean, have a lot in their inventory to show for it. A lot of cams, a lot of food. They're someone that could be a bit of a sleeper. Haven't been very loud this game since they have just been farming up, but I do think heading into this final zone, they could be a very scary composition. We just saw that burst damage that they are able to put out. So it looks like in about 20 seconds, we're going to be heading down to just these final 3 zones of Beach, Uptown, and Hotel. We'll probably see a bit more action as there are just 8 characters remaining, and it is a bit smaller of a zone. Really, everyone probably going to be trying to just hunt out the solos, trying to secure that they can get those placement points, and that, you know, a pesky solo is not able to stop them from getting some of them.
Yeah, Best Velezi actually, is forced to port on in, so if they port into a bad spot, alright, they don't, fortunately. Could have ported on top of a duo, and this could have been lights out at that point, but fortunate RNG. Instead, they're able to survive for now. Pomberdick and Misery Cutie are on the hunt. Hotel is going to be the final zone. Palm has claimed a bush in the upper hotel area. Hopefully no one is going to face check that. Nespi and Hashida. Okay, they're just running away from the Kudeta Hammett squad.
Yeah, it looks like they don't really want to fight here. Don't want to get third-partied, which, I mean, is fair. You don't really know where the other duo is or any of the solos. So it looks like it's just Palm and Best Velezi patiently waiting, looking to not get gone in here. Best Velezi does not have the most red time, though. Probably going to look to run in at the last second. Kind of hope for a couple other teams to fall right now before they actually get there. So we have 1 minute until we get down to just this final zone of Hotel.
Yeah, oh, face checking onto a trap, and the burst comes through. That's going to be Kudeta going down immediately. Hashida and Nespi cleaning up Hammett just a couple of seconds after. These are the late game scenarios that I am so impressed with. When teams recognize that, hey, a team is going to have to rotate through here, they'll probably do it early as to not get, want to get pinched, but we're going to be prepared to jump on that opportunity. Pomperdick and Misery Cutie try to do something similar, placing their own traps in a rotation, but they're just going to get console vision. We're down to our final 6. 2 of them are solos.
Pomperdick has a decent number of traps here, has 9 in all, 4 fire traps, 5 guillotines. I mean, decent number of traps are all around, actually. We'll be interested to see how it does affect the final circles. We have smart bombs as well. Palm doesn't have any, and I doubt there's going to be any on Best Velezi. But speaking of Best Velezi, are they going to be... Okay, they're up here. So it looks like they TP'd in during all of that, able to run up towards the top side as Pomperdick and Misery Cutie are looking to come into that solo and get another kill, secure some more points for themselves. Best Velezi, you don't have red time. I don't know if you can run this way. But I think this may be just the dead Lennox.
13 seconds. They might be able to get all the way around into Hotel. They will. I think they're going to have like 2 or something seconds remaining. But another fight.
Yeah, another fight, as I actually think Best Velezi is going to run right into Palm here, potentially getting takedown. I want to hop over the duo, as I think Best Velezi is most likely going to fall there. Can't really beat the Zukai ult. So it looks like Nespi and Ashida are going to be going in here, pressuring very hard onto Pomperdinka, as well as Misery Cutie, forcing them to eat almost 10 seconds of red each, which, as we are approaching this very final zone in just 1 minute, that is a big deal, but they might get a kill onto the solo of Palm here.
And Palm doesn't burn to a crisp. Use that to take down Best Velezi, so just has to try to escape. Palm, I believe, has some red timer, but Palm Predict and Mr. Cutie not even that willing to chase that hard. Will continue to. Palm will just run around to the other entrance from the forest area. It's really going to come down to Hashida and Nesby versus Palm Predict and Misery Cutie. 3 kills, actually, to all of the duos remaining. Palm holding the 3 for his team. But all the traps that you mentioned, a lot of them were actually used on that top side, that archery hotel entrance from Hashida and Nesby, forcing the rotations from Proper Dicker and Misery Cutie. Sure, they eat some red timer, but they still avoid all of them. However, the duo does have more. Smart bombs available.
Oh, I mean, it all comes down to this. The big winner, though, I feel like right now is Palm. Potentially, we could see the Xiukai come in, bolt, and clean up this fight, as traps are going to be put down by Hashida and Nesby. But we see Palm forced to actually walk in now. Misery Cutie and Popperdinka gonna walk over to the left. Don't want to be on the same side as that Xiukai. So it looks like Popperdinka is gonna take a decent amount of damage here. Oh, the trap as well, and the stun, and that's going to be a dead Jackie. All of a sudden, Popperdinka has gotten blown up. Misery Cutie as well in a very scary situation. But Palm coming in, going to be able to not actually get that kill. Had 3 before this fight, and Palm able to secure 2nd place. I mean, a very good rap performance, maybe actually a 1st place if they're able to get the kill. Doesn't have the ult, so I, don't think it's likely, but maybe Palm looking big, strong, big, scary here, Crowan. Can they actually
There's no way, right? There's no way Palm could do this. It would be robbing Hashida and Nesby of a hard-earned victory. And yes, Palm is going to go down. A nice re-engage, net 6 kills for the duo of Hashida and Nesby, and they take game number 2.
Yeah, and a dominant game number 2 at that. A lot of kills for their team as well, and that is definitely the second game performance that you want, that'll pump you up in the standings and really give you a chance to get in the money to be one of those top 3 teams. But I mean, a special note to Best Velezi as well. I feel like they had a lost Peleg pretty early, got that kill, able to take down Linkachu. Get 3 kills for their team and a 4th place placement. I feel like, given the situation that they were put in, a very, very solid performance by that Linux.
100%, because not only do you get a 4th place, which isn't bad, and that's just more placement points, but you also probably just prevent Palm and Linkachu from winning the lobby, which will set yourself even further behind, right? So both of those things, getting the kill points, preventing Palm and Linkachu to further cement their lead, is going to be really, really nice. Hashida and Nesby, actually, with the 6 kills, have the most kills out of at least the finals lobby so far, because both of the top 2 teams in the previous game only had up to 5, but unfortunately, once again, I think Kudeta and Hammett come up a bit short. Sure, they got 1 kill, but that was only on a solo. But, like, look at their build, right? They had, like, Mistletoe, they had the Cabana, Lucian Halo, Mithril Shield. Hammett had armor, Chinese Opera Mask, like, red shoes as well. So much. I think that squad was the most stacked in terms of their items, but still were not really able to show the dominance that they were yesterday. I don't know if that means that after 2 games of having a kind of poor and then mediocre performance that they're going to switch things up, but you got to be thinking about it, right? You got to be saying, hey, why is what we're doing not working, and what are the adaptations that we need to do at this point? Because adaptations were made leading into this game, especially like ones that I was looking at a lot were going to be that double AR team, which kind of came up short as well. They got 6, only 1 kill, and then Zulius swapping over to Alex. They unfortunately just got killed early. Nothing really more to say about that. But probably, I believe, we'll try to swap it up again leading into game number 3.
Yeah, I mean, one thing to note for Cadet and Hammond, I feel like their duo is pretty strong. Maybe just their aggression isn't really there in the mid game and late game. Because I felt like, and maybe that's also just unfortunate of like the zone or the side of the map that you head to, like everyone's on the other side. Because that's kind of what it felt like, is that, they were just farming around the other side of the map. And maybe that was intentional. Like maybe they were hunting and looking for people and there was just no one there for them to find. But I think that's something that was like, I think they have the power to get those kills, to get those one shots. We saw in Forest, the Bernie Hill into the one shot from Adele, like they can do that.
Yeah.
And I think maybe just, once you finished up your build, instead of going for so many legendaries items, like this is nice, like it's good that you have them, but it doesn't actually help you progress forward in like the overall game, which is how many points you actually have. So, that's something that maybe keeping your build maybe what it initially is, and then looking for a bit more aggression, I think is something that, heading into this game number 3, I would like to see from that duo in particular, just because I think they have the mechanical skill and prowess to do it. I've seen it in the semifinals. I've seen it in the quarters where they just are able to, like you said, have that duo to blow someone up.
Hey, if they got points for having the most legendary items, they would be in first place, Michael. They had 5 to, I guess Izuku and Choo Choo did have 4 apiece. They had Agnes and Radars, but memes aside, definitely want to see some more aggression as you were talking about from that team. It's what we saw them yesterday, but when you get into a finals, right? I mean, we've been there, Michael, you and I. You get to somewhere, you kind of expectations building up. You're like, oh yeah, we've done so well, and now let's just keep it together. But sometimes your mindset shifts, and you kind of start just playing not to lose, opposed to playing to win. You don't really be as proactive and as decisive as you usually are. And there's a lot of pressure when it comes to these high stakes tournaments, right? Like this is $1,000 on the line. That's a solid chunk of change for one of the first, if not like the first, tournaments for the European ERBS esports scene.
Yeah, I mean, this is a big moment for these European players. Their first official tournament. This is on the Nimble Neuron channel. Some of the played herbs, it's like that's really exciting for these players, and there's a lot of pride on the line. And let's actually, I've had the scoreboard up for all of you, but in first place, let's go through it. We have, again, still leading Palm and Linkachu, actually extending their lead. They're at 56 points. And then in second place, staying there, we have Peleg and Best Velezi securing 47th. A new person, actually, a new duo in that third. We have Nesby and Hashida, after that strong Game 2 performance, able to get up into that third placement. And just 1 point below them, we have Misery Cuda and Pomperdinka. That's going to be our top 4. Under that, we have Zulius and David, 18 points. A couple of these other teams still, if they have a good breakout performance, just like Nesby and Hashida, can break up into that top tier. But really, right now, heading into the game number 3, our top 4 duos in terms of forts are the ones that I listed before, and I'm interested to see what adaptations do we see from maybe some of those bottom teams. Do we see Dave and Zulius head back to Nadine and Bernice, because I feel like maybe that, but also they maybe had a bit of an unfortunate situation where they ran into Best Velezi and Playlet, because it's really like if you run into that duo early game, it's just so scary. So it's hard to say.
Yeah, it is really hard to say, and we're getting our lobby number 3 underway very, very shortly. So, I mean, talking about these duos, right? I think there's a lot of room for improvement, especially out of these bottom to middle of the pack squads. They've maybe found like 1 or 2 kills, but at the point where we have a couple lobbies down, you can feel out the lobby, know what routes everyone is going to go, and I mean, unless they shake it up super, a lot, you're going to generally know the pacing of how the game is going to go. You know that, hey, Peleg and Best Velezi, they're going to be taking the hotel tree super early. Maybe you don't want to fight them. Maybe you don't want to end up getting caught by that squad. Hey, Palm and Linkachu, they're going to be over in the beach. They're going to be crafting up so many traps. Maybe we can actually punish them early, because they are pretty well ahead in the lead, like 9 points, I believe, separating them between Peleg and Best Velezi. That's not the easiest gap to close, especially if they're able to remain so consistent. And as we do run into the draft screen, Michael, I think we're seeing what teams have gone in the game number 2 and look to stick with it. The only change that I'm seeing right now is kind of Danny Manny and Trick. Danny Manny moving back over to the Magnus instead of the Yuki.
Yeah, I mean, so generally the games that I've seen Danny Manny over this weekend, at least, he was playing that Magnus. So it is a swap back. I mean, maybe this had a little bit to do with him feeling like their Magnus route was really contested. Maybe they weren't able to get the loot that they wanted in the early game. And then, just recognizing after game number 2, maybe it's more of a comfort. Maybe it's something that we've put more hours in as a duo practicing, because that really is something that does matter. Even if a comp, let's say, technically is better, where it's like there are some strengths, if you don't have that comfort on the heroes, and more importantly the comfort within the build of the hero, right? Like it's easy to click the buttons. It's hard to know what route to run. It's hard to know what your slight adaptation should be. It's hard to know and remember what items you need to pick up for your ally in what zones. So I mean, maybe part of that comes into just like, hey, I really know the Magnus route a lot better, and I think it gives us the best chance to succeed. And I like that change back. I think Magnus is a pretty strong hero.
Comfortability is definitely going to be the name of the game for a lot of scenarios, right? Eternal Return is a game where there is such a knowledge gap in some of these compositions. Like you can't just swap over to anything and run it to its full effectiveness as if you have not practiced it, right? These teams have anticipation for this event, have probably practiced a lot, and maybe on one duo, maybe on a couple of different ones, but you're not going to be able to full pivot onto one that you see. It's like, oh, okay, Palm and Linkachu, I think I mentioned earlier, like, oh, we see that they're running, Shukai and ISIL so well. Oh, let's run that. First of all, you're not going to be able to do it as well as Pampa Linkachu, and you're just not going to be, you're going to be contested throughout it. It's just not going to be a good time. So teams have kind of landed on what they've practiced, a couple of swap ups, right? Danny Manny back onto the Magnus, identifying that that's probably going to be a bit better. But let's see if it works out for them into game number 3, because we're about at the midway point. Teams after this, if they haven't really got a good performance, they're going to be feeling the pressure, feeling the stress leading into the back half of the day.
Yeah, I mean, this game really is an important one. If you're in one of those bottom 4, bottom 5 teams, you really need a strong performance like we saw from Hashida and Nesby in the last game. It really only takes one. If you have one strong performance and then a couple, solid performances, you really can get yourself in the money or get yourself in contention where in that game 4, in that game 5, you have the opportunity, you have the chance to maybe break in to that upper tier. And that's really what I feel like when I play these first couple of games. It's about is like, okay, we really just need to not dig ourselves into too much of a hole. And I mean, if you're running pretty far ahead, if you're best leg and pay leg, right, like you're kind of the dominant duo on the lobby, you always get the first tree. That's a different play style. But yeah, I'm interested and excited to see what happens here. Is actually Nesby is gonna be able to connect the stun, and this is going to be a very low. Ooh.
Oh, no kill coming through. There was so much damage. I thought for sure Hawu was going to fall. They do get bullied off of the teleporter, so that is going to be just time lost for Yuchio and Hawu. They haven't really done too much in today's games. They're only at 11 points, tied for 7th place there with Kudeta and Hammett. But I know that duo is able to make something happen. Speaking of make something happen, Kudeta, runs into Yuchio. All these players trying to make something happen, be a bit cheeky in the early game, get some early takedowns.
Wow, there are a lot of gamers around this first tree, actually. There's what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 duos, 6 duos between Forest and Hotel.
What's going on?
I mean,
so many.
It's desperation, right? This is game number 3. A lot of these teams, I think Trick69, Danny Manny, they want to look to fight around this first tree. They don't want to give it up to Payleg and Best Valesi for free. They want to try and get some kills, and maybe that's where teams are at, is, Zulius and Dave as well, Kudeta and Hammond. Maybe they're just looking to get a little bit of action here. They said, you know what, we've had it with Payleg and Best Valesi having every first tree. It's time that someone contest it, and if it's not going to be anyone else, then it's going to be me.
Or will, I mean, Kudeta's not level 6. I mean, Hammett's going to try to stall, but Hammett, you don't want to be there. Oh, if a stun connects, it's probably lights out for that duo. They're just not tanky enough to deal with Peleg and Best Valesi unless they can catch one of them off alone, but they're not going to be able to. Julius and Dave, however, are coming in, but they probably can't get the stall. No, Best Valesi gets the tree, but Peleg runs into them.
Dave, though, in a very scary position here. Actually, Best Valesi going to be able to get the ult as well. I feel like this is deja vu, as it looks like, the stun. Zulius can be able to actually kite out here. A good ult from Zulius, and they're going to be able to escape. I mean, last game, Dave and Zulius did contest this tree. Oh, actually, over here, there's going to be another fight in the forest. Zulius is going to check it out. Danny Manny and Trick69 are looking at Hammond and Kudeta, and the action, I feel like, is already ramping up in this game. I mean, we see some of the teams with more points, someone like Palm and Linkachu, just looking to split it out. Same with Popper and Misery Cutie and Hashida and Nesby. They don't want to be a part of this early action because they want to secure themselves some of those points as we get on into later placements.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. If you're towards the bottom of the leaderboards, now is the time to really turn it up, find that early game kills, and accelerate yourselves to find even more into the late game. If you're going to have a pop-off one, it's time to start thinking about it right now. Danny Manny and Trick69, they're continuing to look, right? They want to take down some of these higher placement duos. They want to send them down in 9th, get some points on the board, but not really going to result in anything. And that's just the perspective shift. I think for a lot of these teams, they're more comfortable with how the pacing of the lobby is going, so they know where people are going to be congregated, and they know what engagements that they can actually seek out. Again, it doesn't result and really anything substantial. No members have been taken out. Palm and Linkachu are very much just calling beach their home. They're relaxing, cooking up a storm. 23 stacks in the Shukai. It is the early game, though. He's going to be looking to get that over to 100 by the time we reach that kind of late game scenario.
Yeah.
Trick and Danny Manny trying towards archery.
Just kind of wanted to hop in here to Ali as we see 3 duos around. We got Misery Cutie and Pomperdinka, both pretty much full build. Nesby and Hishida, we've seen them before in this bush. Deja vu, actually. Game number 1, Pomperdinka walked up, they missed the combo onto him, but the question is maybe this time it goes a bit different, but actually Hammond and Kudetta here are going to be starting to throw a bit of damage into the Jackie. The issue is their kite angle, if they go this direction, is going to be right into another duo, but they don't actually need to kite because they just blow up Pomperdinka. And this is not how you want to start the game if you're Misery Cutie and Pomperdinka. You're in a very good place points-wise, but if you get taken out here, if you fall, then like really your chance to get in the money is potentially in jeopardy, as they are going to lose that Jackie. Choo-Choo actually with the push in on the auto, gonna use the ult as well. Dave, the turnaround from Zulius with the ult as well, as Dave is taking a lot of damage here, down to 60, going to fall. Can Zulius turn it around though? The double AR is just too powerful. Are they going to be able to get Zulius? Actually hopping in over here. There's another fight potentially happening as Misery Cutie trying to keep Pomperdinka alive. Lots of fights happening around the map here. So it looks like Zulius maybe baiting the double AR composition. Okay, no, Zulius is just going to get taken down here, and that is going to be the solo. And it looks like Misery Cutie as well. I mean, they don't get last place, but they are going to be taken out in 8th with 0 kills, and that is not the round you wanted from Misery Cutie and Pomperdinka.
Definitely not, especially when you're kind of on the cusp of breaking into that maybe, you know, second or even first place. You know, they had 37 points going into this game. That will certainly set them back a very, very large amount. But I do love to see a couple of things that just happened, right? Hammett and Kudetta, they finally get a 2v2 where they can get their burst online, take out one member. It was Pomperdinka pretty much immediately. And that's what their duo is meant to do. Hashida and Nesby as well get one. Yujio and Hawu clean up one. Same with the AR duo between Choo-Choo and Aizuko. They are built up. Sure, they want to scale up into the later game when they can get those, you know, kind of rank 2 weapon skills online, but still going to be strong enough at this point in the game.
Yeah. Second tree, I just wanted to note, goes over to Best Valesi. So he's got another one. Potentially could turn it into the Scotty, the bracelet of Scotty.
Yeah. Could go more glacials for their duo as well for Peleg, but we'll end up seeing. I mean, they're on the straight jacket sneakers right now. No arm piece, actually. Need to craft one of those eventually. Oh, that AR duo might find Yujio and Hawu here, but I think that's actually maybe favored for Hawu and Yujio if they can get a nice counter engage. Won't end up transpiring, however. They're just running to safety, away in the factory.
Just kiting away. I mean, one thing to know is like there was a lot of early action, it looked like, as we had a lot of teams around Hotel and Forest. Not necessarily a lot of deaths around there, but you saw the aggression from these teams. I mean, even Aizuko and Choo-Choo just chasing this duo down, looking to get and secure some kills. I feel like, you know, this is a game 1, game 2. Potentially both these teams just run away in the opposite direction, and maybe that's what they should have done, is the double stun coming out by Yujio and that's going to be the double AR going down. A beautiful abusive vision there, waiting around the corner and then just jumping onto them.
You took the words right out of my mouth. Abuse of vision. That's what that was. Recognizing, hey, this AR duo is going to continue to chase us. We can turn. As soon as the CC lands, can push them into the wall with the Leon. Hedgen can follow up. And, ooh, okay. Best Valesi and Peleg trying to make something happen there. But actually a nice use of the Su Unstoppable. Make sure the CC doesn't connect, but a little bit of pinching happening. Fortunately, Peleg and Best Valesi can just go the other route to dip into the cemetery.
To run into another duo, as it looks like Kudetta and Hammett. They are see Best Valesi and Peleg and say, never mind, we don't actually want to fight you. But yeah, Best Valesi and Peleg avoiding 3 duos there. I was really worried about them for a second. That was like bridge of death moment.
Yeah, you don't want to get pinched in a kind of a one-way scenario where there's no other ways to retreat. So fortunately, it's dip on its cemetery and not going to be engaged upon by Kudetta and Hammett because Best Valesi and Peleg are rather tanky, and it's going to be hard to be bursted down with their survivability. least at this point. Wickline going to be spawning in about 40 seconds. Hammett and Kudeta making their way to perhaps secure it uncontested. Still haven't really seen Wicklines contested that much over the course of these past couple of games. Not looking like that's going to change, at least right now as well. Doc is going to close off soon, so Yu-Gi-Oh and Hawu going to have to run out of there.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of want to check in with the lobby leader, Palm and Linkachu. Every time I feel like we check them, 62 stacks here, 10 stakes, so has been farming up. Not a lot of traps for them, though, only 4 guillotines. Does have some bamboo traps, so we'll be able to, once they get into archery here, turn those into some guillotines. But it looks like Trick 69, Danny Manny, Harmon and Kudeta may be fighting here, or Hammond and Kudeta are going to be fighting potentially over the wick. If Trick 69 and Danny manage to start this up, potentially could be a scary situation. I like this patient play, waiting to see if there's anyone else in the area looking for that wick.
Telephoto camera does scout them out. Both duos know that the other is around, so not willing to start that wick line up. Just going to let her run throughout the map. Just going to give each other some space. Maybe if a queen can land, one of these Adelas might start going. Or a Hammett Bola could be the engagement tool as well. Wickline going to go into the alley? No.
Gonna come back, actually. 3 teams now in Avenue. All 3 Adels are gonna be here, so lots of pawns being thrown
Pawns
down.
everywhere.
No one knows who's this. Who's this? The bird? Nesby!
What?
Able to get the blow up!
Hammett, where'd your life go? Oh man. Kudeta, you're not long for this world if you stick around. Okay, nice rapier skill. Yeah. Dodges out the CC, but running into the red zone. Oh no. Sticking true. Hashida and Nesby still chasing Kudeta to get the castle over the wall. The checkmate, the castle. You escape for now, but at what cost? Is the cost of Hammett.
Yeah, Hammett is going to be taken down here. But I mean, during all of this, looks like Trick 69 and Danny Manny going to be able to get the wick. I don't think Kudeta may potentially go in for the res. I don't think they'll be able to get it. Okay, they do just run the opposite direction. But yeah, that's going to be wick line going over to Trick 69 and Danny Manny. This could set them up for the big game that they need here. They need to have a big point game. They need to get some kills with this wick. And they are set up for it. Would expect to see them, would love to see them kind of run around and look to get pretty aggressive here.
Yeah, definitely. Danny Manny and Trick 69 from the games that I was watching yesterday of them, they weren't popping off every single game, but they did have one very standout performance, and it looks like they're kind of trying to do the same thing. They're just biding their time to have one really, really solid game and let that accelerate them on the standings. And of course, if you get that wick line, get that loot, and even just the buff, you can start to do that. So I would agree with you. I'd like to see them get a little bit aggressive, especially because like they're not susceptible to just being taken out, I think, very easily, as long as Trick 69 doesn't get engaged upon. Speaking of engagements, however, Leon goes in.
The bait actually able to turn on them. They look like they were trying to get out. Nesby as well as Yoshida forced to use a lot of cooldowns to just full run here. They had a great game number 2. This is potentially disastrous if they fall here, and they're going to get pinched as Peleg and Best Velezi are going to be right above them. They're using their mobility tool. The double stun coming out. The Lennox follow up as well. Very well played by Best Velezi and Peleg, and they're going to be able to get that kill onto Desby TV, but they want more. They want to get Yoshida. A very hard hero to chase down, though, as she does have so many mobility tools.
Yeah, it's going to be able to have that E. It gap closes so well. If Ishida gets mobility back up, yeah, puts the shield on and yeah, double dashes away. Best Velezi though, Glacial Shoes. This is why the Linux is so oppressive. And she's able to find, okay, does get into combat however, so not that extra movement speed. Looks like Ishida will live another day, become yet another rat on Lumia Island.
Another rat joins the fold. As they should. I mean, Hashida and Kudeta both going to be ratting up, trying to get those placement points for those teams. I mean, both of these teams are, you know, potentially in contention if they can rat and get into a good spot or have a really big game 4 or 5. I feel like both of them are kind of on the cusp, but who's not is Palm and Linkachu. Very, you know, I feel like pretty dominantly are #1 place right now in their last 2 performances, and looking like they're going to repeat in this game number 3. Already have, again, 8 double guillotines, gonna have a decent number of fire traps coming out, and I feel like if they're able to get set up again, they're gonna have a very strong showing in these later couple of zones.
We see Palm and Linkachu in pretty much the same exact spot at this time every single game. They go into hotel, they rotate into beach, get a bunch of traps online, and just farm it on out from there, scale on up, allow Palm to get cooking, and no one's able to contest them, right? There was that engagement that happened in the school where you got third partied and Linkachu got taken down, but outside of those kind of like niche scenarios, they're just free to do what they please. And if they scale into the late game, look to get those they're getting oil from the archery range right now. They're going to get the oil cloths. They're going to get a bunch of fire traps. And as soon as we get down to the final zones, if they're still both of them alive, it's looking like a repeat of game number 1. However, there still are 3 other full duos remaining. A couple of rats, so they could kind of put a wrench in their plans, especially Danny Manny and Trick69. They still do have Wickline buff for a little bit under 3 more minutes remaining. Haven't found anything with it yet, Michael, but their time is quickly diminishing.
Yeah, I mean, they've been able to farm a decent amount. I don't know. I do think they're maybe prioritizing looting a little bit. Would love to see them just like give vision 2 or 3 zones, and then anytime you see a hero, maybe just run at them. But yeah. Also, I'm a HOTS boy, so it's like all I want to do is run at people. So it's like that may not be the best strat, but it's my strat. You know, so.
Yeah, this is a battle royale, Michael. Generally, sometimes people prioritize surviving. Crazy concept, I know, but no, I'm right there with you. You especially need to because they want to come back in the standings. You're not just going to be able to get first place off of ratting around and getting just a second place with no kills or something like that. So they need to start thinking about what aggression they can take.
So it looks like Palm
not finding any yet.
And Linkachu going to be TPing in here. Going to go to Forest actually, and there's 2 rats in here, so potentially could be points for both of them as we may have 2 of the duos run into each other here as Danny Manny and Trick69 still have that wick buff for just a little bit more. They face check this book though, or this bush. There is a smart bomb, and they have a lot of burst. Okay, but they are just going to run towards Forest.
But they're going to run it into Kudeta. Kudeta is the solo. Kudeta, you don't want to go that way. Just prepping some pawns in case they need to queen stun to buy them time to escape. Kudeta. Oh no. Starts running back up again. Nope. Still don't want to go that way, Kudeta. Turns out there's still a duo there.
May have vision of Palm and Linkachu here actually. Gonna walk into this camera. Stuck between 2 duos, not necessarily where you want to be. I like the option here of running down. I mean, it is still scary though, because there's a lot of bush, but Trick69 and Danny Manny still have wick buff for just a little bit longer. Potentially this could be a good opportunity for them to fight Palm and Linkachu, but if they walk into this bush, I mean, just the burst potential from this duo is very scary, as it looks like Peleg and Bestvalezi may be caught out here.
Oh. The C4, oh, okay, a bit too preemptive, I think, on the trap placements, on the Leon abilities. They tip Peleg and Bestvalezi off to what was going to happen in the Forest. Hashida is forced to run into the Uptown red zone. Only 5 seconds remaining. We'll get the port off with just a couple of seconds left. Yeah, 2, 1. Oh, calculated.
He pulled out his calculator. He's like, I got the math. It's not even close. But I mean, that's rough. Only 1 red second left though. Like heading into this final zone. That pretty much means when this final circle spawns, Hashida, if still alive, will be eating a lot of the traps that Palm and Linkachu are going to be setting up. Or Linkachu.
Yeah, and that creates a very interesting dynamic, right? That makes it a lot better for the remaining duos. If Hashida says, "Hey, I have to get into the zone," or just explodes outside of it, but sure, Hashida is going to want to play for that win condition of actually being able to get in there. But it will allow other duos to have a bit of a safer time. A lot of people eating timer. Kudeta as well. Kudeta trying to agree for this console vision.
Kudeta was forced out though by Linkachu and Palm. That's why they had to run there and go for the teleport. So good job by them. I mean, that looks
good
so
scouting.
Scary.
Yeah. Danny Manny and Trick, I believe the Wickline buff is going to be not available anymore, so they really didn't do anything with it. Unfortunately, I guess they used some of the loot to get like auto arms online, but really that's about all that came from it.
Yeah, but I mean, here we go. Game number 3 of EU ERCL, $1,000 on the line. A lot of these players wanting to be one of those top 3 duos where they can get into the money. Also, bragging rights, as this is the first event within Europe, and Hashida is going to be one of the solos kind of chased around. Kudeta as well is going to be the other one on this other side. But really, it's probably going to come down to the 4 duos that we've got left. Best Velezi and Peleg are already set up, which is pretty big. I mean, if Linkachu and Palm were able to get first position, it is pretty big. But they're now going to be rotating in patiently. So many traps actually set up here by Vashida, just trying to, you know, not die first, trying to say, hey, I want to secure as many placement points as I can.
If only Hashida had more than 1 second left on the timer, and if only that zone was a safe zone in 1:30, but it will not be. So Hashida probably just trying to make something happen, maybe snag a kill or 2 before they end up going down. But ISOL is going to be good at taking out the traps, so as soon as the W comes back online, or even just doesn't need it, the camera's going to allow them to clear out the fire traps. Unfortunate for Hashida. This is, I think, the most players we've seen alive at a late game scenario. So this action is going to heat up very, very quickly.
Yeah, I mean, you see the duos all kind of postured in their bushes. Trick69 and Danny Manny are a bit far away from the point, but may potentially be able to, once this fight breaks out, come flank in behind Palm and Linkachu Kudeta down to about 2 or 3 seconds of red. So going to be forced in once this time goes down. Same with Hashida. Those are going to be our first 2 movers. Both of the solos are going to be running into Best Velez and Peleg, and maybe Linkachu and Palm will try and like clean that up. And I really think Trick69 and Danny Manny could come clean it up if they're pretty patient with it.
The tension is building, Michael. 30 seconds remaining until things really start to explode. Kudeta already a little bit of a cheeky combo onto Peleg. But I don't even know if you want to be the duo in control of the zone right now, because it just makes you a target. All eyes are on you. Everyone's going to try to be pushing you out. It's going to be probably the team that comes in last that has the advantage actually leading into this scenario. Hashida already rotating, 10 seconds left. Hashida knows they have to get into the zone quickly, and they try to, but they're already taking a lot of poke, Michael.
Yeah, Hashida going over towards Kudeta here. Actually, not the person you want to give this kill to, and Hashida gives the kill to Kudeta, gifting it on over to them. As it looks like, I mean, actually, that is not a bad person to give the kill to. As it looks like, though, Linkachu, so many fights happening all over the map here. As it looks like Peleg and Best Velez are going to full kite here. Kudeta actually holding position on the point, doesn't have much red time. Going to be forced to use the ultimate. Palm as well is going to be falling low. As it looks like Yujo is going to be able to get a kill. Pablo on the Hydrant is going to fall. The ult does come out, though. And we're down to 3 duos. Palm and Linkachu are both pretty low. Only 4 seconds of red time remaining for Linkachu, as it looks like this ISOL is just going to stand in the point. Zukai actually able to heal up here. Maybe they can reset. Don't have the ult on the Zukai, though, as it's going to be Linkachu falling first. The ISOL is going down here, and now it looks like the Zukai is going to be the next to fall, and Danny Manny and Trick69 are reverse. Peleg and Best Velezi, they miss some key cooldowns there as Lennox misses the hook. Trick69 with a good juke out. Only down to about 3 seconds here. It's not looking the best for them. Are they going to be able to turn this? Trick69, a lot of it is going to lie on this Videla, and they're not going to be able to do it, as Best Velezi and Peleg, they were the first person on the point, and they are the last.
Indeed, it ends up actually coming through. If you are the first person, I thought that, hey, perhaps you would get bullied off, and they were, but they were able to leverage their red timer, right? They're able to go up and kite when they needed to, and that it cannot be said for those other duos remaining. Unfortunately, you know, Palm and Linkachu ate a lot of timer. They used their cooldowns early with the burnt to a crisp and didn't have them for the later fights. Best Velezi and Peleg, they started off very strong. They again win the Tree of Life and Hotel, accelerate into the late game, and are still a very, very dominant team. There's just so much damage coming through from that duo. I think just if we can think about just like tier lists of what duos are the best, Asua Lenox is definitely right up there for me.
Yeah, no, it is a very strong combo, and Best Velezi and Peleg are playing it to perfection. They got the first and second tree in that game, right? So really setting up Best Velezi with a lot of items. It doesn't get much better than that. But Palm and Linkachu, I feel like, were really put in a difficult situation there. You know, having that bush, it's like you're kind of the center of attention. Everyone is kind of like in their rotate to get to the point is going to be going through you. And Palm, you know, the power of Zukai with the ultimate is also a bit of a drawback, right? Like once that cooldown's down, you are a lot weaker of a hero. You lose a lot of your damage potential, and we kind of saw that when it was down to the 3 duos. Palm no longer had ultimate at that point, and they were just pushed out. They didn't have the damage. They didn't have the threat to push Trick69, Danny Manny, Peleg, and Best Velezi off.
Yeah, I mean, a very interesting dynamic, and that happens when we have so many duos remaining in an end game scenario. I mean, even like we kind of forgot about like Yu-Gi-Oh and Habu. At least I did. Like they had still both members, alive there at the end, but they were the duo to kind of get last out of all the remaining ones. Palm and Linkachu still once again, I mean, had a solid run. They get third. But I mean, Palm wasn't working with that much red timer. I think Danny Manny actually pushed Palm out of the zone, so he exploded. And then Trick and Danny Manny getting a second is still going to be very, very nice for them. It starts to get them in the position where they can think about breaching that top three. They need to, however, keep these situations up where they're getting into these late game scenarios.
Yeah, and let's swap actually into the scoreboard here and take a look at these new updated scores. I mean, we've really got a fight developing for first place here, and it's between Peleg and Best Valencia as they're going to actually go in and secure that with 77 points. You know, Palm and Linkachu, who are currently in second at 73, they were leading in first place after game 1 and game 2, and that is just a 6-point difference between them. But the drop off between number 2 and 3 is going to be pretty big, as Nesby and Hashida are going to be able to hold that. Had a very dominant game 2 performance and a very solid game 3 to give them 49 points. And then in fourth place, we've got Misery Cutie and Popper Dinka. Had a rough showing in that last game, but game 1 and 2 were very strong. So they still are someone that could, really jump into that third. If they have a pop-off game, maybe that second place. And then in fourth, or in fifth, actually, they were in last place, I believe, coming out of the last game, but they're actually at 32 points now. Hayu and Yuji, they have 32. So a really, really strong performance for them, getting a decent number of kills. And then Trick 69 and Danny Manny at 27 as well. So really, that third place, there are a lot of teams that potentially could jump in there. But I really think first place, unless something drastic happens in game 4 or 5, Peleg, Best Valencia, Palm, and Linkachu, they're really kind of duking it out for that.
Yeah, we get to see how the lobbies are really shaping up in terms of the overall storyline. It is going to be the Peleg and Best Valencia and then Pomelinchu duos that are coming out very well up in front. And I would say generally there's always going to be a chance of teams like Nesby or Hashida, or even Misery Cutie and Popper Dinka to overtake them. But with how consistent Palm and Linkachu and Peleg and Best Valencia have been, I don't really think there's going to be one to overtake, both of those squads. Maybe one of them, if you can force Palm and Linkachu or the other duo into a ninth place scenario, but it's just unlikely to end up doing it to both. So that's where the action is going to be the most impactful, but still, every single other duo fighting at least for third to get into the money is still going to be what we should keep our eyes on as well moving forward into game number 4.
Yeah, I mean, it's exciting though. It means that there is a race or a battle for both positions, right? First place is going to be contested. And I mean, here's the thing. If Nesby and Hashida come out game number 4, they get first place, they get 4 or 5 kills. All of a sudden, game 5 is way more interesting, right? We have 3 teams that are now contending for that potential first place. Maybe Misery Cutie gets second in that game, as with Pomperdinka and Peleg and Palm, they get last. And, it's like there's a lot of things that can happen within Herbs, which is kind of exciting. And we are going to be getting into that after we take just a short break. Probably going to be about 5 minutes. So all of you at home, go get yourself some water, go use the restroom, because that's what the players and that's what the casters need to do. If you guys are enjoying this action, please hit that follow button. Nimble Neuron puts on a lot of great, Herbs content, and shout out to them for providing this prize pool, as well as my organization 30K and the team behind the scenes that are help making this run smoothly. Just want to shout out MJ, Slexia, Rob, and Fizz, as well as the Nimble Neuron team. They have been really helpful. So just thank you to everyone that's made this tournament possible, and we will see you all after this short break in about 5 minutes. Hello, everyone, and welcome back after that quick break. I hope you got up, got yourself some food, maybe some water, used the restroom. But here we are back to some herbs action. We are going to be getting into this game number 4. Crowan, welcome back, man. Really, just like, what are your thoughts heading into this next game? Like, that last zone was insane. I'm still reeling after it. Like, there was like, what, 10 or 11 people there? It was absolute madness.
Yeah, I believe there is 10 people heading into that final zone. It's very interesting because we also saw, I think, the most early game aggression that we have so far in Game 3, but then also the most amount of people alive until the end zone that we've seen so far as well. So teams are being confident enough in taking more early scraps, but also just playing better, I think, and being able to survive some of these engages, playing a safer mid-game after that, allowing them to scale. I think we can also say that some teams probably playing a bit too safe, especially those down in the bottom of the standings leading into this, and with aggressive comps, I'm going to bring up again Hammett and Kudeta. They played super well yesterday, and we know what their composition can do, right? They get those one-shot blowups. They just need to find the opportunities, and I mean, you can't always let the opportunities come to you. Sometimes you do have to go out and aggressively seek them, because it's going to be a tall order for them to be able to contest a team like Peleg and Valesi, or like Palm and Linkachu, all the way up there at the top, but it's possible, and you have to always, as a competitor, play for your win condition, and so it is very much now the actual do or die time for these teams to try to make their way into the top 3, if not the top 1.
Yeah, and I mean, speaking about those scores, we're going to look at it real quick before we get into this game 4. We want you guys to understand what the player's mindset's going in here, right? If you're playing for first, if you're in first place, it's a very different mindset that you head into this game 4 in comparison if you're in 9th place, Like, if you're in 9th, you're looking to just ball out, get as many kills as you can, get a pop-off game, and if you're in first, you're kind of the big target that everyone, when they see, they want to kill you, and we are going to be getting into that game number 4. The players are loading up. I'll be interested to see what adaptations, or if any adaptations, come out. I see that there already are a couple, Crowan.
Yeah. Wow. Okay, this is very interesting. I did not expect this at all. We're going to see Hammett and Kudeta move to a composition that they have not played in the entire tournament, I believe, and it's going to be Isol and Heart. At least it's the first Heart that that I'm seeing. Not sure if there's others in the groups yesterday, but as well, Choo Choo and Iceco swapping off of another composition. They say, no, the double AR, we run it for a couple of games, it wasn't quite good enough though, so they're going to land on the Jackie and the Sua, and I believe it's going to be Dagger Jackie as well, so maybe running a similar kind of route to Popper Dimka, who has found a lot of early game success along with Misery Cutie.
Yeah, I mean, this comp looks like it could have a lot of scary early game aggression, right? The stuns paired with the Jackie damage feels like it'll be pretty good. I mean, similar to Misery Cutie, who provides a lot of slow, which is CC in a different form. But yeah, really interested to see. And I like, again, when players make change and adapt things going into this 4th game. We have Kudeta on this Heart. I'll be curious to see if it's the Enad or if they end up going for the amp. I'm not super familiar with her build, but I think actually if she's starting Temple, that may mean that she is looking for the amp. But also it could be that she's grabbing Essel, like she grabs 2 Monk's Robes here. That's probably going to be because, also 2 Scriptures. Potentially they want to either build a second item later on, like a second chest piece, or, maybe that is something they want to give to their opponent or their ally when they do see them, as a lot of that does come into play. With these first couple of zones, you're not looting just for 1 character. Generally, you are looting for 2, as you want to get your ally stuff also.
Yeah, that's why we see like double running shoes, double piano wire, double oil as well. All these things, they're going to be trading with each other once they meet up in the factory and they both are there at that point. We'll see what builds they do land on eventually. As we see players, of course, in the School Forest Hotel area. Once again, we gotta be thinking about Peleg and Valesi. They're going to be contesting that hotel tree. Comes up in about a minute and a half. Best Valesi, though, already on the Glepnir. This is one of the fastest purple weapons I think we've seen online. Generally, players get it around the minute and 30 mark, but Best Valesi already having it at like a minute and 10. Maybe even before that. I didn't see exactly when they got that online, but yeah, very quickly nonetheless.
This could be big, actually. If they get this kill onto Palm, oh, they don't see him. But I mean, he's very weak right now, and that's...
Once again, Palm and Linkachu in the area, but they're going to dip on into the beach.
Yeah, I was really curious there if Best Valezy and Peleg may were potentially jump onto Palm. I thought it was going to be a bit scary. I mean, that's their main competition. This is first place and second place right here. These are the two teams. I mean, you see Best Valezy going just over to the dog, not actually going to look for the fight though, but both of these teams, if they're able to slow each other down or get a fight and, down an opponent, that could really help them in the standings.
If they fought right now, whichever team came out on top would just set themselves up beautifully for victory. Being able to force the other duo into a 9th place, it would just be disastrous. So they're just giving each other the due respect. They both are compositions that do want to scale, but they're not going to have time to scale if you're going to be Hawu and Yu-Gi-Oh! As Hawu gets taken down by Danny Manny and Trick69 in the forest. Hedgen in forest, that is her home, but she's going to be bullied. Yu-Gi-Oh! Trying to look for perhaps a revive, but I'm not sure that's going to be able to come through.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure if they want to stall out them building or go for the revive. Danny Manny and Trick69 may actually let them get the... No, maybe they're just going for the bait. Just finishing up their items. Actually, going in for the all-in 2v1. Not sure if that was the correct play, as I mean, unable to get the kill, but also it's desperate in this game 4 situation. You lose your ally, you're in a very scary spot, as it looks like they are just going to try and full kite out. Are they gonna be able to do it? No. And that is going to be our first duo falling in this game number 4 and setting Danny Manny and Trick69 up for potentially a big game that could catapult them into contention for that first or second place.
And they were pretty, those two were pretty close competitors, right? They were about 5 points away in the standings. Hawu and Yu-Gi-Oh! At 32, Trick69 and Danny Manny were at 27. So now the 2 kills over to Danny Manny and Trick and extra placement means that they're at least going to be in 5th, and they can maybe set themselves up to even go further into the 3rd. Danny Manny and Trick69, maybe this is the pop-off game they were waiting for, as tension is building in the hotel, but it has already begun in the archery range.
Yeah, as it looks like Choo Choo here on the Jackie trying to cut out. Good jukes, able to escape Misery Cutie, actually walking in for the chainside damage onto Pumperdinka, trying to provide everything that they can, but looks like their build is just maybe a bit weaker this point in the game, as Misery Cutie is almost full items and they're able to get another kill.
The Jackie teams collide, but Pumperdinka and Misery Cutie say, "We do it the best." Choo Choo forced to run away from another duo, Peleg and Best Valezy. Not really going to give chase, but a Rat Jackie, of course, name a better duo. But still, without their duo with Izuko, going to be feeling pretty bad about that one. Just forced to rest in the bush as we move forward in the game. I believe Hotel Tree probably went over to Peleg and Best Valezy. And yes, it did. Glitch Shoes online. Everything is right in the world. It happens yet again.
There's balance among the forces. Best Valezy has glacial shoes. I was worried for a second if he didn't, he might crash.
It's like, hey, we didn't prep the script for this one. I don't know what happens when Peleg and Best Valezy don't get glacial shoes. Oh,
Dave going for a branch here and going to get ran into by Trick69 as well as Danny Manny, and that is going to be Dave falling, and Zulius as well. I mean, they swapped over to this Benice or this new composition, and it just feels like, man, that's rough.
It is rough, Michael. There's no other way to put it. It just hasn't really worked out for them, unfortunately. The Alex, I mean, in the previous game, it had a couple of good spots, but Kudeta not in a good spot right now, as Forest is going to be a restricted zone. Kudeta, you're hard. You have to have Hammett there to save you. Gonna be able to pop the Peacemaker.
Yeah, so pretty good ult there,
disengage button.
Could potentially turn as the Magnus Spike did miss. Kudeta was looking to get the Tree of Life, maybe eat a little bit of red for ISIL though. Trying to heal up here. I mean, I don't know if they want to take this fight. They are down the Magnus Spike, which is one of their pretty big cooldowns. So it looks like Danny Manny and Trick69 will take the couple of kills that they have gotten so far and just kite out. But really, it stinks for Kudeta. They really wanted to go get that Tree of Life. You need the Legendary Helm here. You need that Laurel Wreath. It's such a big part of that Enad build. So I'd expect to see them look to contest this 3rd tree.
Yeah, I expect so. Laurel Wreath, of course, providing a lot of Enad, and they are both Enad builds. It's what they have landed on, and they can scale very, very well into the late game. Perhaps they were inspired by the double AR of Choo Choo and Izuko. Of course, they're not running at this game, and they are already down. But still, an adaptation. If the aggression doesn't work, right, I think this is actually a very intelligent swap by Hammett and Kudeta. If you can't get kills early, might as well just scale so that we can be a powerhouse in the late game. So I do like to see that with that in mind. But we've already had a lot of kills end up coming through, right? Trick69 already with 4 kills to their name. They're setting themselves up beautifully to be accelerated, have the mastery advantage. Ooh, Misery Cutie scouts out the bush, but Pamalinkachu is going to go on the aggression here to Papadinka.
Oh, Pomperninka doing a decent amount of damage though. Palm activating the ultimate. This is potentially tragic, as it looks like Palm is going to go down. Misery Cutie and Pomperdinka making a statement here, taking down Linkachu and Palm. And this may be an opening for them to jump up in, as actually Trick69 during all of this able to get 2 more kills for their team. 5 on Trick69 and 1 on Danny Manny. 6 kills already. I mean, last final zone had 10 people and we're already at 8.
Oh my, this is insane, Michael. The action is really turning up. I did not expect Palm and Linkachu to go down this early in the game. Generally, even with early aggression, they're still strong enough to press R and get kills, but it feels like half or even more than half of those burnt to a crisp procs just did not connect. Palm was being like, hey, I'm taking a lot of damage randomly, I have to run away, but it was too little too late. Pomperdinka and Misery Cutie show that they are an early game to mid-game force to be reckoned with. Peleg and Best Valezi, they're like, oh, bet, alright, we can just rat it out until the late game, scale up like we did last time, secure a first, and get even further ahead. They were already 4 points ahead over Palm and Linkachu going into this game, and looking to cement their lead even further. Palm did grab 1 kill before that duo fell, so they're still, for now, going to be relatively even. But if Peleg and Best Valezi can get a top 2, that lead does indeed grow. Wick line spawning in 1:30.
I was just going to say, they do have a decent rack comp as well. I mean, Best Valezi with these glacial shoes is very fast, and Peleg just has a lot of mobility. So I think they do have the ability to do that, where they are going to be scaling, you know, or not even scaling, just ratting a bit to just secure themselves some placement points. I mean, I would like to see that. They've normally been one of the most aggressive teams, but right now, I mean, they're already starting to set up some traps, and I mean, just the smart play, understanding the points and the situation of where you're at. We may have a bit of lull in the action here, unless Danny Manny and Trick69 run into and fight Peleg and Best Valezi. I don't think they want to take this engage, but if Danny Manny and Trick69 are able to get a stun, are able to get on them, this could be disastrous.
Oh, a good stun disengaged by Peleg. I was waiting to see how far Trick69 would be willing to go there to try to make that fight happen, and they're still flirting with the idea. Danny Manny on the flank. If they can catch Peleg or Best Valezi, ooh, the slow lands.
That does stop the shoes. Trick69 going forward here. Gonna be able to get the queen stun onto Peleg, but I don't know if it's going to be enough. I mean, just, yeah, they're too mobile. No. But I like Trick69 and Danny Manny looking for that. I mean, if you take that out, you really have opened up at that point your chance to maybe go for the first place. But smart from Peleg and Best Valezi able to escape.
I mean, some quick math check, Michael. Danny Manny and Trick69 have 6 kills. That is already 18 points with just kills alone, not counting a placement in this game. They're going to be spiked up, it looks like, at least setting themselves up to perhaps go into the 3rd place spot. And if they can have a similar game in game number 5, they can still be in contention to win the whole event. And what a comeback story that would be.
Yeah, I mean, the Magmus swap back. They ran a Yuki for a game, decided the Magmus really is what they were the most comfortable on, and I think it was a smart move. I mean, also Trick69, just their gameplay this time has been so strong. 5 kills, just always in position to follow up off of Danny Manny, or even just making plays for themselves. Yeah, we spent a lot of time talking about this team. They're most likely going to be hitting up the Wick. Let's swap into, you know, Pomperdinka as well as Misery Cutie here. We'll keep eyes on Wick in case anyone fights, but Pomperdinka pretty stacked as far as inventory goes.
Yeah, Pomperdinka in a pretty decent spot. I mean, they have feather boots or EOD shoes, depending on what matchup they want to run. You know, they have a couple of chest pieces as well. Not that much food, unfortunately, and you know that is going to be a concern if they do find a lot of engages happening in the near future, which you could, especially considering Trick and Danny Manny have secured the Wick line. They're still going to be just running at people. Hashida and Nespi and Peleg and Best Valezi, both of the Sua teams remaining, and those are the ones that are going to be the trickiest to try to get a hold of. They have 0 kills because they just want to be consistently going into the late game. Yeah, Nespi has a lot working in that inventory. Smart bombs, double guillotines, setting themselves up very nicely into this late game scenario.
Yeah, I mean, I like to see the traps. Still a lot of zones. I mean, 4 duos at this point. No one really wants to maybe take a firm engage. I mean, unless you're Danny Manny and Trick 69. If they see anyone, they're probably going to be running at them. But these other 3 duos, at least Best Vlezzy and Peleg, they really do not want to fight. But Pomperdinka and Misery Cutie might force the issue with them. As you see, Pomperdinka, known for this Jackie, just kind of jumping in and forcing the engage. Very, very tanky and may look for it. Oh, Peleg.
Ooh.
Oh.
They don't want to get split. Okay, popping the Chainsaw Master. Pomperdinka goes forward, but maybe a bit too far forward.
Jukes out the hook, but actually there's a flank coming in by Nesby as well as Yoshida, and they're able to get the first stun, the second stun, and that is going to be a dead Misery Cutie. The CC chain from Nesby and Yoshida is beautiful, and they're able to get a kill claimed for them, and that's what they need. They're currently in 3rd place, and Danny Manny and Trick 69 are having a huge game here, and I feel like Nesby and Yoshida, if they want to continue to hold that spot or maybe even jump higher, need to really have a good placement.
Misery Cutie couldn't even play the game there. It was just so much CC. Like, hands off the mouse, hands off the keyboard, nothing you can do in that scenario. Double stun, into the knockup, into a Sua knockup. It was just way, way too much to deal with. Pomperdinka and Misery Cutie. I think even with that first initial engage that Pomperdinka had onto Peleg and Best Vlezzy, they went way too far forward. There was no way Misery Cutie was getting in range, even with your Adriana. It just wasn't happening. And you force your teammate into a bad spot, and then you get pinched. It just wasn't a good look entirely. So one of your teammates gets punished, gets taken down for it, and now Jackie, Pomperdinka, has to rat for the rest of the game. Still could find some kills. They do have 3 already, and if they can get some more online, they can still perhaps contest this 3rd place or 2nd place spot. If they have a good game and game number 5. But really, I mean, the story is who can take down Danny Manny and Trick 69 at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like all 3 of these duos have a lot of CC, have a lot of damage within their kits. I mean, that really is the overlapping factor for them, is that they have a lot of crowd control, have the ability to one-shot someone without them being able to, like you mentioned, Crowan, you know, touch the keyboard, do anything. It's basically oh, I got hit once, now I'm CC'd for 5 seconds until I'm dead. So, I mean, really, Pomperdinka good at just trying to be ratted out, but I think the positioning for these next 3 teams is going to be kind of everything, like who potentially gets set up in a bush, who has vision of the other, because so much of, you know, this is going to come down to who gets the first engage. But Pomperdinka here actually going to get caught out.
Oh no. The solo rat gets found. The rat exterminators have come to Lumia Island. Pomperdinka is generally one of the better test subjects to get away in these scenarios. Not sure they'll be able to though. The queen's going to land soon, or will it? Actually jukes it. Oh my god. Pomperdinka?
Ankle's broken, but I don't know if it's going to be enough.
Going back to the same corner, but Peleg says, I know which way you're going. Can Pomperdinka do it again? Can they get away one more time? The hook connects from Best Vlezzy, and Peleg will secure the kill. It really should have gone over to Nesby and Best Vlezzy, or excuse me, Nesby and Hashida there, but it did not because of some great jukes by Dimka.
It is interesting though, because Pomperdinka gives that kill to Best Vlezzy and Peleg, who currently are going to be most likely in first place coming out of this, right? They're currently our leaders. They have 1 kill and they're in a pretty solid placement. So I mean, maybe just playing for 3rd place and saying, hey, I want to give points to someone who I don't think my team's going to be able to actually beat. I mean, I think they were just trying to escape, but that's maybe like, I don't know, that also could be something coming into play.
No, I'm definitely right there with you, right? The competitors know what teams they're going to be directly contesting and which ones are kind of out of reach. If you run away from one squad and you die to another, so be it, right? It's not going to be it's not going to be something that you don't take into mind, right? It's better that Best Vlezzy and Peleg get that kill. But they were, of course, looking like they're trying to escape if possible. Just weren't unfortunately able to do so. But now everyone congregating in the beach. Looks like this will be our final zone. And we're getting here a bit quickly, right? Because a lot of people ended up dying very fast in this game. So it's going to come to a close here. At least the zones will all come to a close in about 35 seconds. Nesby and Hashida waiting in the bush. 6 players remaining. All full duos. Everyone has at least 1 kill.
I mean, it really, looking in at the traps here, not a lot for Trick 69. And Danny Manny, not a lot for Best Vlezzy and Peleg. Hashida does have a couple, Sells Nesby. So trap advantage going to Nesby and Hishida. 5 seconds until everyone. Actually, I mean, we'll still have 2 minutes, actually. I realize there's going to be another. So it's probably going to be this for a minute. All right, Crowan. We got 2 minutes. We got 2 minutes to kill.
We're chilling.
We got 2 minutes to kill.
Yeah. How's it going? Any predictions? Any predictions in this? You
forced
me to predict? No.
You got 100%
You forced me to
predict rate. Okay, let me see.
Yeah, I don't want to ruin it. So now it's your turn.
I think Best Valezy and Peleg are going to get targeted by both teams.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense, right? They're in the lead. I mean, teams are going to be vying for that top spot.
Or actually, maybe, because I'm trying to think if I'm a competitor, what I do. I mean, Nesby and Hishida have traps, so, like, I do think that's a pretty big advantage. But I kind of like positionally where Trick 69 and Danny Manny are. Like, I think having this angle is the best, because, like, you can run in here, heal up, use some red time, then, like, come back. I think Nesby and Hishida actually have the worst spot. I'd like to see him maybe rotate over to here and play from, like, this angle. Because I just feel like this choke, at least in these two, is going to be really scary. So I actually think Trick 69 and Danny Manny are going to win it. That's what I'm going with. They've had a big pop-off game, and I think they're going to carry it all the way through, as Nesby and Hishida are going to be the first to take the point.
Yeah, I mean, checking in the masteries, right? Everyone in the game is at 11, besides for Danny Manny and Trick 69. They're at 12 and 13. So mastery advantage, going to be the reward out of all of their kills. Sure, they get some more of their build online as well, like auto arms for Trick, and Danny Manny has the bracelet of Scotty, a little bit of amp Magnus there, going to be providing a lot of damage if they can find a blow up, if they can find a wall stun into like a checkmate and bike combo. No one's going to be surviving that one.
2 cams already preset up here for Nesby and Hishida. I actually think they're going to be able to get a decent number of traps down, which is going to be pretty good, setting up a very safe position for themselves here, making it so that if anyone tries to come in, they're going to have to walk through all of this zone. 5 seconds, and everyone is going to be forced to potentially walk in here. We see Danny Manny and Trick 69 maybe just opting to eat some of their red time. They have 24 seconds, so not the most red time, as it looks like Best Valezy and Peleg are going to be walking in here. Danny Manny and Trick 69 coming from behind here. Going to be able to clear up some traps, going to look to take control of this zone. Ooh. As it looks like Nesby and Hishida taking a bit of damage. All right, everyone's kind of dancing and flirting in and out of the zone here. No one wants to be the team that hard engages. Double stun coming out here. Everyone just throwing poke. But once it starts to heat up, it's going to heat up fast. The red timers really are going to be the indicator. Peleg down to 10 seconds. Same with Hishida. Not going to be able to reset after this one. This is going to be the last reset for Hishida. Going to be forced to now kind of just stand on the point here. Hishida very much in a scary position. If they get stunned, could get all in on. Danny Manny and Trick 69 taking more and more control of this point up, as they are going to do a lot of damage there. But I love that they don't all commit. They don't go too hard here. Trick only using that rapier skill once they can get the kill. Only has 9 seconds though, as it looks like we're going to be down to just 2 duos. Is Nesby TV actually maybe not... Actually, okay, yeah, Nesby is going to fall, but Valezy now just down to 3 seconds. Does not have the ability to reset. Danny Manny and Trick 69 are looking very strong here. Crowan.
It's coming down to the final 2 here. Danny Manny and Trick 69. They need to find whoever can land the CC first. Will probably end up taking. Danny Manny drops so low, but Trick 69 is still pretty much full HP. Peleg could be the trade kill there if the queen can land. The queen does. The combo, the checkmate. Peleg goes down. Danny Manny is still alive. Best Valezy in a 1v2 scenario with the Leanox will be able to take down Danny Manny in just a couple moments. Or will they? Or will they? Best Valezy tries to use everything, but Danny Manny survives. Trick 69 gets the 9th kill for that duo, and they come up huge in this game number 4.
I mean, you were saying it in that team fight. They checkmated. I mean, that last sequence, the way that they just slowly gained zone control was so clean and powerful to watch. I mean, not overextending. There were a couple of times where they could have gone for an all-in and maybe baited themselves, but just overall a 9-kill first place 4th game. And I remember going into this one, I was like, all right, it's between Best Valezy, Peleg, you know, and Palm and Linkachu. That's going to be our 2 teams fighting for first. And Trick 69 and Danny Manny heard me, and they were upset because they said, we have still got this. Do not count us out. We are coming to get that dub. So this game 5, I'm so excited to see the scores. But this game 5, there are going to be a lot of people potentially, you know, fighting for first, fighting for second, fighting to get in the money and get the recognition that comes with being the first EU ERCL Duos champion.
Yeah, that is insane. Like 27 points, I believe, just from the kills, let alone with getting the whole victory there in that game. Trick 69 and Danny Manny have made a statement. They are going to be saying we can still contest that first place spot, even being what were they like fifth leading into that game, I believe it was. Yeah, they are sixth even. They were sixth with 27 points. Now at that victory, they're jumping up multiple placements and they are setting themselves up big, especially considering, right? Palm and Lincolnshire only had one kill that game, went down in fifth. Sure, Best Valesi and Pele gone to second, but they only got a couple of kills. Their lead still is going to be, what, by like around 14 points or so, as we'll check in with the scores.
Yeah, we're pulling it up right
here.
now, so,
Yeah.
so they can see. So keep talking about it.
Yeah, as I say, as you pull up the scores, I mean, we see what happens when a team can actually make such a huge jump, and that can happen again, right? Literally every single team from honestly, even down to like, fourth can still take this. If Peleg and Best Valesi, if they get contested at that hotel tree, which hasn't really happened yet, at least anyone able to take them down, we could see some massive, massive plays and teams coming up huge from behind. But Palm and Link, of course, they've been one of the most consistent squads. Best Valesi and Peleg can kind of take that title as most consistent right now. But still, anything could happen in this final game.
Yeah, I mean, Trick 69 and Danny Manny jumping all the way up into third place at 72 points. But I mean, another team I want to shout out, Nesby, TV, and Hashida. They have played really well, in game 2, 3, and 4. They had a rough game 1. They were in like bottom of the standings or bottom 3. And then in this series, they had a pretty strong game. They were able to make it to that final circle and in the last one. So, I mean, there's someone that they've consistently the last couple of games have been improving and been having solid games. And maybe this game 5, that clutch moment on the line, maybe this is where they're able to bring it out and get this. I am so excited because it really, like, I'm not trying to cast or curse, but like, imagine this. We're going to the first tree, all right? Peleg and Best Valesi. I mean, it's the script, all right? So I'll reveal it for you. Peleg and Best Valesi, they've got it pretty much every single time. I don't know who, but someone contests them. They get into a scrap, and they die. Or one of them dies, so they're in like a rough position, At that point, the game could be completely broken open. So it's like, I don't know. I'm just interested to see, just because the way that our score leader plays is so aggressive, right? They so consistently go for that first tree that all it takes is one or two teams to contest them, and maybe they get third partied. And then, all of a sudden this game 5, the person who, we all thought, I want them. I think they're super good. I don't care who wins. I think all these teams are great. I don't have bias, but I just, I'm here for the script. What'll provide the entertainment for the viewers. So I'm really interested to see what does happen with this game 5 here. What adaptations potentially do teams make? Do we see some maybe Nadines come back? Because I know, someone like Zulius and Dave, maybe Iziko and Chuchu try and do that and jump into the third slot.
Not only what a comeback story it would be if a team is able to surpass Peleg and Best Valesi, but what if it happens with a last-second swap-up right in their composition? Our team's going to go into game number 5 and say, you know what? We're laying it all down on the line. We're going big or we're going home, and teams definitely don't want to go home, especially, again, for the first big European tournament. I'm so excited for the emergence of the European ERBS scene because, as you mentioned, all of these players here are fantastic. They've shown us some amazing stuff, and I believe that these could very much be world-class competitors, and especially with the players that have been very, very consistent so far and the ones that have popped off. Danny Manny and Trick 69, it is not very often that you can get a 9-kill first place among a lobby of this caliber.
Yeah, Trick 69. I mean, they both played really well, but I just have to focus on that Adele play. I mean, we have 3 Adeles in this lobby, and I feel like they're all very strong players. I mean, a lot of the top teams, but Trick 69 really has been the standout performer for me. I mean, easy to say after a 9-kill game, but even in the semifinals and some of the others just would consistently get these like one-shots where they hit their combo absolutely perfectly. And like you mentioned with the EU ERBS scene, this is the first EU ERCL. I mean, I don't work for Eternal Return, but looking at what they've been doing with their, global championship in Korea, with their North American scene, I mean, it would make sense that they are going to continue supporting the esports scene, which is something you love to see. And I'm excited to see what talent kind of develops and comes out of Europe. For all of you that don't know, this was an open qualifier. So basically, if you joined the ERCL Discord, We had signups there, took the first 74 or the first couple of groups that signed up, so 74 people or 36 teams. So you should join the ERCL Discord if you're an NA player, an EU player, and you want to get involved in the ERBS scene. That is the place to be. That is the place you should be at. Because anyone's able to join. You don't have to have a specific requirement. It just comes down to who has the quickest fingers and is there able to sign up. So that's what's part of also so fun about just battle royales and herbs is like you can play against the pros and, you know, test your skills. But the question is, will you make it to the Nimble Neuron finals at the end? I don't know, but we are getting into it. Game number 5. It all comes down to this.
It does all come down to this, and teams really putting this on the line. We're still, Michael, seeing some swaps leading into this game.
Wait.
And we see a lot of swaps, actually. Yeah, you want to break it down? Do you want me to break it down?
You break it down first. You break it down.
All right, I'll just let you know what's happening. So Zulius and Dave are going back to their Bernice Nadine that I think we saw them start off the day with, but have not continued with until now. Hammett and Kudeta swapping off of the Aya, or excuse me, off of the Heart onto the Aya. So they're now ISO Aya. We're seeing Palm and Linkachu go back to what they were running in the group stages with Lee Dailin and Leon. That is such an aggressive opener. They're going to be looking to so aggressively get kills, so I'm really excited to see Palm's Lee Dailin, but I'll go more into that later. But rounding out the changes, it is going to be Team 9, Choo Choo and Izuko, swapping over to Fiora and Razi. Now, I personally love seeing Fiora, of course. I will let my bias be known. I think she's a fantastic test subject, and even starting off with two-handed sword is very, very interesting. Usually, in this meta recently, we've seen Fiora's land on Rapier or Spear, generally, but I'm excited to see what two-handed sword can work. There are, you know, newer items in the game. I believe out of what is it, the plasma sword, you can make the Aurora longsword, so that's going to be a decent power spike if they're able to go that route and get that online. We'll have to see, though.
I mean, a really interesting thing that I noticed, Palm and Linkachu actually swapping off that ISOL as well as the Zukai, feeling like it's not going to be giving them the best position to win anymore. And I do feel like that actually was a good decision. I was curious if they would swap it up, and we have to see how this game plays out, of course. But it felt like a lot of the other teams were, you know, understanding the play style that they were trying to play and kind of countering it a little bit. It's actually Trick69 here taking a little bit of damage. Nesby just hitting them, upset about the last game, saying, how dare you get so many kills.
I know, right? Oh, teleport coming in, but yeah, teams before they build their weapons probably aren't going to try to aggressively go for kills. Kudeta actually is on a sniper Aya, and then as a pistol ISOL for the ASOL, which is their duo. Very interesting. Trick in the corner, just trying to loot up. Nesby saying, nope, I'm still gonna bully you. Poke, poke.
Yes, I mean, Hashida coming in, though. I mean, SB has not completed their weapon yet. I mean, the straight jacket sneakers are a decent advantage, though. I think Trick may have their item soon, so they don't want to get gone on here. But a lot of teams, again, converging around this first hotel tree. I mean, would expect to see maybe Zulius and Dave rotate on out of here as they do just want to scale up, but there are a lot of people postured around here, and that situation that we were talking about of Best Valesi and Peleg potentially getting contested or fought for this first tree is looking like this could be the game where it finally happens. Game 5 is the time where people decide, you know what, we've had enough of Glacial Shoes on Best Valesi. That's it, no more.
Or have they? That's the question. People are in the area. We still have about 25 seconds till the tree does spawn. A little bit of poking, it looks like, about to happen perhaps between Peleg and Best Valesi and Hammett and Kudeta. 15 seconds. Tension's building. I feel like this is like a late game scenario. It's like, oh man, final zone, but it's like, oh no, first tree of life. Who's gonna contest it? Will anybody? Peleg and Best Valesi, both level 6 at this point. They have their item spikes online. They're still gonna be very tanky.
A new area has been
Not sure anyone can actually win this 2v2.
Yeah, they might just get it for free. Actually,
Oh?
okay. So it looks like they don't want to let them have it. Kudeta as well are going to be postured around. Best Valesi and Peleg, I'm curious if they stay.
I think they will. They very much want this tree. They base their whole kind of game plan around contesting it. They just want to allow Peleg time to get crafts through. Hammett and Kudeta just going to be poking. Want to make sure that they aren't getting it for free.
Big farmed, actually.
Yeah.
We're about to have an
3
EOD
items
suit as well.
EOD
Holy
suit.
moly.
Oh. Like they just spike so early. Like no team can contest them because they just get their early game power spike. Oh no! Trick
Deja vu.
69, Deja Vu, Yuzio, and Hawu. They're both gonna probably go down here soon. As soon as Trick 69 gets another queen. Oh no!
I'm gonna hop over to the tree fight as I think that is going to be them falling. I just want to make sure we see what happens here. Is it actually looks like the first tree. They are going to be able to push them off. And all I'm going to say is, everyone pull out your small violins for our boy Best Velez. He doesn't have the Glacial Shoes this game, but they may contest this next tree. I mean, that's what we saw them do in another game earlier, was kind of fight for that second tree. But I mean, I like this decision. I like them not forcing the issue, because you're still in a leading position. You still can finish up your build. And really, those Glacial Slippers, I make jokes about it. They're nice, but it's not the end of the game, right? You can finish up your build, and this duo is still very, very strong, very powerful. Really, the last thing that they want, the one thing they need to make sure they don't do, is have a bad placement performance. And if they're able to do that, they're for sure going to be able to secure themselves a place in the money. But I mean, Trick 69 already has 2 kills, already looking big scary.
Michael, I don't know how to continue now that Best Velez doesn't have glacials. I have no idea. We're off script. This is just an adaptation that I'm not ready for. No Leenox zooming across the map. Aurora Longsword, yeah, that does actually end up coming through. Meteorite comes down. It might be contested.
Yeah, I mean, this Fiora looking pretty strong. May go in here. Needs to be careful of the CC that Hashida and Nesby do have. But I mean, we saw a lot of people postured around that first tree, postured around Hotel, and the big winner is going to be Choo Choo and Izuko, as they have gotten a decent number of items for them as well. Also, I think Linkachu and Palm were able to farm up, get both of their full builds, as there were a couple teams. I mean, Zulius and Dave, actually, let's check in on Dave's stacks. 55, so, you know, definitely a pretty respectable amount for this stage of the game. Just gonna come look to continue scaling here as much as they can. Whereas, you know, I kind of like this, picking a scaling composition now that everyone's kind of looking to fight and be more aggressive, since there is just a lot more of the map actually opened up and free to farm.
Yeah, definitely. And I think now is a great time to talk about Palm and Linkachu and see what they can do. Palm goes in very aggressively with lead down an ultimate, and they get 1 kill, they get 2, and this is exactly why Palm and Linkachu swapped over to this duo. They can be so aggressive early. Now is not the time to just be consistent, get a top 2 contesting Peleg and Best Velez, because you need to secure that 14-point gap, or at least going to be able to surpass it, and that's a big start to be able to do that. As soon as Lee Dellen Ultimate and Linkachu Ultimate come back up, they're both going to try to do it again immediately, and they can do it, I think, with the amount of burst and damage that they have.
Yeah, I'll be curious to see if maybe they look for a teleport somewhere, or just kind of run through Avenue. Teleporting is always a bit scary, as it looks like, speaking of, Pomperdinka as well as Misery Cutie are going to TP into Alley and may run right into that combo, right into that duo. If Pomperdinka is able to maybe tank it up, I mean, the last thing you want, though, is Misery Cutie to got on. This is your fragile backliner. Kind of the role that the Jackie plays in a lot of ways for the Adriana is to soak up damage and to distract the opponent, so the Adriana is able to throw down and do a lot of that damage. And the question is, will Linkachu and Palm maybe be able to catch Misery Cutie and Pomperdinka unawares? I mean, they do have the camera vision, so I think they probably do know that they're here, but yeah, just very fast burst from that team.
Definitely so. Looking towards the Archer range, Best Velez and Peleg. They don't want to really get into early game scraps. They just want to continue to be consistent and get into the end game. Palm and Linkachu in the alley. Pretty uncontested. Pomperdinka, though, going aggressive.
Yeah, going in here on to Best Velez. Sorry, I was just looking over to check and see if the second tree had been taken, and it had, so I'm curious to see where that went. Oh, Palm and Linkachu here. Man, it's tragic.
There we go.
Palm with the big ultimate, and that's going to be a 3rd kill from them. Coming out here and making a statement. We may see a fight evolving and breaking out in force here, as the Aya is going to use the ult here. Kudeta trying to escape. I'm going to hop in here as Nesby is going to be going at it with Trick 69. Hashida here getting stunned up, going to let the kite out. So it looks like Hashida may potentially be able to escape. I spoke way too soon as the Magnus bike connects. And that is tragic for Nedsby, losing their ally, losing Hashida there, and now is forced to just rat. Whereas on the other side, Linkachu and Palm able to get 2 more kills, as Linkachu is looking big scary in this game.
They got Hammett and Kudeta. Hammett and Kudeta swap over to this double, I guess, backline. It wasn't double AR. It was, I believe, sniper and pistol, but still they get taken out. I don't want to curse Palm. I don't want to cast a curse Palm, but I have not seen Palm miss Elite Island Ultimate all weekend. They're always on point, on the correct targets, and they're going to be setting those kills up so nicely, literally every single time. Again, as soon as both their ultimates are back up, they're going to look for more kills because they are already accelerated. Their mastery is going to be higher than most other players in the game, maybe besides for the Nadine, who of course is stacking animals the whole entire time. But already 4 kills to their duo, and 9 more people in the lobby besides themselves to try to farm. A minute until Wiccaline. I wouldn't be surprised to see them lurk in the area, try to get some kills with that in mind.
Yeah, our 3 lobby leaders are still alive. We have Best Velezi and Peleg, who before this game were currently in first place. And then closely behind them with 4 kills so far, we have Linkachu and Palm. And then still also we have Trick69 and Danny Manny. So really all people, you know, Trick69 and Danny Manny, Palm and Linkachu really kind of coming out here, making a statement, trying to come after Peleg and Best Velezi in that first slot. So it looks like Mystery Cutie and Pomperdinka are going to run into Linkachu and Palm. Pomperdinka may be able to actually bait the ult here. Going to be waiting in the bush here, doing a decent amount of damage. The ult is going to come out by the lead island. Is it going to be enough? As Jackie is going to be able to escape potentially a good vision as well as ults from Misery Cutie, just trying to full peel, baiting the ults. They may be able to actually reset and refight here as Pomperdinka is just trying to get a little bit more HP. I think the ults for Linkachu and Palm are more important.
Yeah. They definitely are. I mean, Palm needs to land the ultimate, and then they need to stick on the target. If that disengage comes through, they don't really have that much chase potential. Wiccaline has arrived, and lead on the ultimate, because it connected, it comes up a bit faster than normal. But Pomperdinka and Misery Cutie gonna leave the avenue. Nesby, uh-oh, the solo. Palm doesn't have ultimate yet.
So yeah, Nesby doesn't know that though. Still trying to juke it.
Yeah.
Nesby is 15 here. Potentially, if is able to juke, not going to be able to do it. Just such a hard combo to go against. And that's going to be another kill dominating. You saw it there on the screen. But one thing to note, Peleg and Best Velezi do get Wick.
Okay.
That's really big for them. I mean, this may allow them, or should allow them to really, you know, continue their passive play into the late game, allowing them to get, you know, into that final zone, secure those placement points, and maybe even potentially get some kills, as they are pretty powerful. 2 4 scores as well as the blood sample. We'll be curious to see what those turn those into. Potentially could just be bombs, or maybe they turn it into some items.
Yeah, double 4 score. We'll see what that turns into a bit later on into the game. But an interesting note, Michael, with that 5th kill for Palm and Linkachu, they're going to be 1 point ahead of Peleg and Best Velezi. 15 points is more than the 14-point gap that they were down. So as long as Palm and Linkachu can outplace Peleg and Velezi, or just get some more kills, they're set up to win the whole event. The comeback is happening. The comp swap has done them justice. Pomperdinka, though, gonna be around the area against Trick69 and Danny Manny.
Trick69
Queen is available.
Trying to be able to connect the stun, not gonna be able to do it. Danny Manny going in for the slow here. Pomperdinka actually turning around, going onto this Magnus here, forced to use the ultimate, forced to pretty much fully disengage, and now Trick69 and Danny Manny are split. And it looks like they have their eyes onto the Citadel. Good damage going out onto the Jackie, though. Trick69 may have to kite around. This could be their tournament hopes falling, as Trick69 using a good ultimate to disengage. Maybe gonna look to jump over the wall here. Maybe looking to disengage using the Queen.
Castle soon.
Yeah, actually kited away from the Magnus. No.
Kites back towards the teammate. Danny Manny can peel.
Big. I was worried about the positioning of the kite there, but I was incorrect. I mean, had the castle up in time, was able to use it to run back towards that Magnus, and now Danny Manny and Trick69 have gotten pretty much a 4 reset. I don't know if they necessarily win versus this composition unless they're able to get the one shot onto Misery Cutie. I don't think they have enough burst damage to take down the Jackie without her getting out and then maybe being able to reset, but no food actually for Pomperdinka is going to be a little bit rough. Misery Cutie may drop some for them. Okay, yeah, that is a good teammate.
Some curry buns, all right. Some bacon and garlic. Looking to make some use of that. Still going on the aggressive, though.
smart bomb actually. Pumpernicka
Ooh.
taking a lot of damage here. The smart bomb play! The 1000 IQ, really smart by Trick69, knowing that, okay, this Jackie's just gonna jump in. And once they do that, this smart bomb will give us enough damage. Danny Manny is the one that dropped that really well done, the smart bomb into the wall stun. And Misery Cutie here recognizes this is going to be a difficult situation for them if they don't have their teammate trying to make the play that they can, trying to see if they can maybe get the 1v2 here, as Trick69 is doing a decent amount of damage and Danny Manny is just going to be healing up here.
Still trying to flirt with this 1v2 scenario though. Misery Cutie needs their teammate alive to have hopes of winning this lobby.
Yeah, I mean, it's game number 5, so playing for placement here, like, you can do it, but really, you need kind of a big pop-off game, and their redemption may be coming in the form of School, as Linkachu and Palm potentially could path this way, could see the pings, and could come third party this situation, as Danny Manny and Trick69 are now going to look to full commit, and that is just a beautiful combo. And now they've got 5 kills themselves, potentially going to be able to jump up into contention, but they're running into Linkachu and Palm. I don't know if this is the team you want to fight here, as Danny Manny is going to be starting to Kai. Oh, the ult doesn't connect!
Palm, the first time they've missed Leland ultimate all weekend. They try to go aggressive for the kill, but don't end up with it. That actually could have been the fight that Trick69 and Danny Manny wanted. However, not when Danny Manny has no SP, and I don't know if the Delta ultimate was right available then. Sure, it's going to be up now. But taking out Palm and Linkachu not only gives them probably 7 kills, or maybe 6 if they only get 1, but it also just doesn't allow Palm and Linkachu to scale up into the late game and contest that first place, being members down. Danny Manny and Trick69 were 3rd place coming into this lobby. They were 25 points behind 1st place, 11 points behind 2nd, but still have the work cut out for them, especially with the dominance that Linkachu and Palm have displayed over the course of the lobby. We have 8 players remaining, Michael. 4 duos fully remaining. The zones are starting to close, so we're starting to get to our final few. Forest, Uptown, and Dock are going to be the area. And we might see some collisions soon.
Yeah, as it looks like there's, all 4 teams kind of converging towards this forest. I mean, Dave and Zulius have just been farming up with that Nadine, just trying to scale into the late game. I mean, potentially could be the saving grace for Trick69 and Danny Manny if they're able to potentially get 1st place and have Zulius and Dave get 2nd. That could be something that potentially allows them to catapult up into that 1st place if they are able to kind of clean up the lobby left with kills. But Linkachu, Palm, Peleg, and Besvalezi do not want to let them jump in and steal that 1st or 2nd place, as both of these duos have been leading throughout this entire tournament so far. This is game number 5 of EU ERCL, brought to you by Nimble Neuron and 30K. Really excited to see who we can crown as the EU ERCL Duos champion at the end of this game. Is it going to be Peleg? Is it going to be Besvalezi? Is it going to be Palm, Linkachu, or potentially could Trick69 and Danny Manny actually pull it out? And I think this bush camp is the smart move. If Peleg or Besvalezi come in and they get a one-shot, that could completely open up the game.
It is crazy how it's still between 3 teams, right? It's unlikely that Danny Manny and Trick69, I think, could win, given the fact that all of these other duos have made it this far. But if they clean up all 6 kills and they take out, Peleg and Besvalezi first, then Palm and Linkachu, and then Dave and Zulius, as you were mentioning, that could be the exact route to victory. And how crazy would that be if that actually does end up transpiring? And it could, as Peleg and Besvalezi now are running down the forest. They're running close to Trick69 and Danny Manny. This could be the start of it, Michael. But, not quite. Not quite.
Man, yeah, it looks like they don't want to actually go for the fight there. But, I mean, so patient. This will allow them to potentially come in here and flank behind Peleg and Besvalezi, as it looks like they may run into Dave and Zulius, or they may run into Linkachu here and Palm. Both of them doing a very good job with this vision, using this camera setup, potentially going to look for the one-shot. This is a very, very scary position for Besvalezi and Peleg. They do not know what's waiting around this corner.
No, teams are playing vision so well. They want to be able to get the jump on anybody that comes into that lead Dylin ult range. The last ultimate narrowly missed out. It was probably like a couple of frames away. But Palm doesn't want to make that same mistake again. Want to get more kills on the board. And with Dave and Zulius going so close, this could be the opportunity that Palm's looking for.
Zulius actually with a pretty good trap here. A decent turnaround as well. And Palm is going
no.
to get blown up. Linkachu going to activate the ultimate, the double knockback, going in for the all-in onto Zulius, able to get the kill, but going to lose their life.
A survivor has been eliminated.
Oh no, absolutely tragic. A great bola from Zulius sets up that play. Oh no, both of them go down, but Zulius is going to be knocked. I don't know if Dave can save them. Peleg and Best Velez, they're not going to let this go, but Danny Manny and Trick69, they know what's happening. They're going to start running down.
Dave kiting, pretty much full running here. Actually going to run right into Danny Manny and Trick69. As it looks like we're just down to 2 here. Danny Manny and Trick69 maybe going to look for this all-in. They know that cooldowns are most likely going to be down for Best Velez as well as Peleg. A very good stun though. Best Velez able to just, kite decently well here. The Magnus Spike, is it going to connect? It is. Best Velez running over towards Peleg. A really good juke. Does have a remote mine if they're able to actually escape out here. The stuns from Peleg, the peel, trying to make space for this Lennox as Best Velez doesn't actually want to leave Peleg alone. May just look to heal up here and then run in. Peleg going to be pushed into the red zone. May look for the TP. Actually, if Trick69 and Danny Manny maybe just continue running.
Okay. They let Peleg TP, and it does let Best Velez heal up during that time as well. I was a little concerned as well for this split, but Danny Manny and Trick69, they still are playing this game. Yeah, perfect TP. They still want to play this game out, of course. They want to try to at least get second place here and surpass Palm and Linkachu. They're able to do it. If they can get a first place, that is the start of it. Best Velez on the Bloody Ninetales whip. So much damage going to be coming out of that Linux. Danny Manny and Trick69 giving their respect. This is the final zone closing in a minute, Michael. Console vision grabbed by Danny Manny and Trick69.
Both of these
no
teams,
traps, I don't believe.
Very low on food as well. Very low on food. Everyone is like kind of running low. Man.
Remote mines. Not much food means that these fights are not going to be long and drawn out. They're going to go in and try to secure them because they don't know the food state of the other teams. They think that, oh, they could be on a million fish and chips for all they know, right? But they're not.
It all comes down to this, though. This is going to be the final battle, the final duo versus duo, and Best Velez is going to miss that hook. A pretty long cooldown. If that connects, potentially is a very scary situation for Trick69. Smart Bomb coming down, doing a lot of damage to Danny Manny and Trick69, and this is where being low on food is going to come into play, as Danny Manny has 2 eat-ups, only has meat left. Both of them are going to heal before they potentially look for this engage here. It all comes down to this. 2 seconds remaining, and this is the final circle. Trick69 and Danny Manny waiting for their opportunity, and vice versa. Best Velez and Peleg looking for the stun into hook. That's the, combo that they're looking for. So watch this Lennox. Once that cooldown is down, that potentially will allow Trick69 and Danny Manny to go a bit more aggressive, and that's going to be the hook connecting on Trick69, but they are able to escape, and they can maybe reset with the red. Actually walking back into the stun here. Trick69 gonna get stunned again as Peleg is pretty much hard committing, but the turnaround isn't going to be enough. Damage going out everywhere, and Trick69 is trying to get the kill on Peleg, not going to be able to do it, and that is going to be Peleg and Best Velez getting 3 kills and securing first place in game number 5, which is going to, I'm almost 100% positive, make them our #1 EU ERCL Duos champion. I mean, we got to double check the scores, but there's no world, right? There's no world that they're not first.
There's no way. 3 kills. It's not like someone else had like a 10-kill game. They got first. They were already in a 14-point lead. Getting first in 3 kills, I'm 100% sure Best Velez and Peleg are going to be our champions for the EU ERCL. And what a way to do it. Consistency, Michael, is key. But not only just being consistent, getting into the top 3, we're even able to scale into the late game and take the final 2v2 and dominate it, right? Such a well-played tournament by so many teams, but Peleg and Best Velez do it the best. Huge shout outs to them because they are our champions.
They are a super strong performance there. I struggle to say the words super, but just consistency is what it comes down to. I mean, pretty much every single game except for the last one, able to secure that first tree. And that's something that is just like, it sets the pacing for them, because it just allows them to pretty much the entire game be stronger than most opponents that they run into. And I think a lot of that comes down to their kind of synergy. So many times you'd see Peleg, land the sung, followed up instantly by Best Velezi hitting that hook. And that's something that, takes synergy, takes practice. And it really showed today. They showed up and they made a statement. And that statement is that they're the best duo in Europe, as they are going to be the EU ERCL champion. Really, really proud of them. We're trying to figure out who is going to be second and third. Got to get those scores update, and then we will present that to you. But that's going to be the last series of today. If you guys have been enjoying this matchup, if you've been enjoying the EU ERCL, please hit that follow button. Also, big shout out to Nibble Neuron for providing the prize pool, making this all possible. But let's get those scores updated, Crowan. Which is going to be me. So I gotta give you
Let's do it, Michael. Yeah, I'm doing so much work here, getting all these scores updated, and I just had to sit here, look pretty, and talk about the game. That's what I'm here for today.
Man. Absolute king, baby.
Thank you very much. But what a fantastic weekend of games that we've had. If you all are just here on the Nimble Neuron channel and didn't get a chance to watch the qualifying rounds, they did show some spectacular play as well, and there are even some great teams that didn't make it into the final round here today. I am very, very much excited to see the next big European tournament, to see if Best Velezi and Peleg can kind of keep their title, or if one of the other strong duos, maybe like one of the second and third place teams, can come back next time with a vengeance. I'm certainly going to be waiting for it myself.
Yeah, speaking of those second and third place teams, we have it up on the screen now. And in second place, we have Palm and Linkachu with that strong 5-kill performance, able to secure second place, a very consistent team. And then in third, Trick69 and Danny Manny. I feel like the comeback story of this series really were a bit down and out in game 1 and 2, and able to bring it back and secure themselves a lot of points. And that third place with 101, breaking into those triple digits. Honorable mentions to Nesby and Hashida with 68, Misery Cutie and Popperdinko with 66, but that is going to be our top 3, and that is going to be the end of our tournament. Just going to do a bit of a final shout out and just thank everyone. Thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. I hope you guys enjoyed this content. Also, shout out to the players for playing. Everyone from the quarters, semis to the finals for creating and giving us this amazing action. Shout out to the 30K team, Rob, Fizz, MJ, and Slexia behind the scenes, adminning and making these lobbies run smoothly. And then shout out to the casters, Casanova, Motif Games, and Crowan. Crowan, thank you so much for joining us. Any shout outs or, final thoughts before you go?
Yeah, I mean, I'll keep it pretty short and sweet. I think I say that, but then I'm like, I want to actually say a lot, so maybe I'm contradicting myself already. But it's been fantastic to be here once again on the Nimble Neuron channel, getting to cast Eternal Return. I love this game, so it's always fantastic to get these opportunities, and especially when we get a new kind of scene emerging. I say newer because we haven't had that many European tournaments, and especially one on the Nimble Neuron channel. We saw some great competition. Congrats once again to the victors of Best Velezi and Peleg. I mean, my name is Crowan, as you probably all know. You can find me on socials at Crowan. Make sure to follow Michael as well, doing a lot of great stuff for the ERBS scene, trying to support it. And, we all know and love and stand people who try to support this wonderful game. So thank you very much, Michael. Glad to be here along the journey with you today.
Thank you, man. Thank you for joining us. And the final shout out goes to Nimble Neuron. Thank you for creating a game that we all really enjoy. And thank you for helping support your esports team, providing the prize pool for these players, helping make this all possible. They have been excellent to work with. And this is going to be our final time signing out. I hope you all enjoyed it. And if you did, see you next time.